All right, this update is brought to you by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. It is official. The Padres have hired their next manager. Mike Shildt was hired today by the Padres, signing a 2-year deal. In San Diego State, football and basketball this weekend. Aztecs basketball takes on Cal on Saturday at 4 p.m. Aztecs football follows that versus Fresno State, the final home game of the season. Senior night, 7:30 kickoff. Of course, our pregame coverage will start as soon as the basketball game is over. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup when the Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 4:30 Eastern. The NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one of Jon and Jim. The Padres finally have a new manager. You just heard from Mike Shildt. You heard from Jim in the update. 2-year deal for Mike Shildt. You're going to hear from Shildt. You're going to hear from AJ Preller as well. You're going to hear from Jim Russell, who was there to take it all in. Now, I was at Brady Hoke's press conference earlier today. So Jim went down to Petco Park. We did see the back of Jim's head, by the way, at the end of the press conference. So the tradition continues.
I did it on purpose. You're welcome.
I didn't think Jim was going to ask a question, and we'll get into this, but literally the final question of the press conference came from Jim.
I dropped the mic, I guess.
Were you thinking the whole press conference like, yo, I'm going to ask, or was it you weren't certain it was a possibility you were going to ask a question?
Well, the way the press conference started out, with talking about Peter Seidler, I'm thinking to myself, none of this. I mean,
right?
Who really cares, right?
You weren't going to hold his feet to the fire after that.
No, I was like, who really cares? I mean, human being, like you see, he's going through it.
Sure.
You see that this entire organization is still going through it. So who cares? I mean, Mike Shildt, okay, we'll move on. But as the press conference went on, I'm like, I think I got asked this. I think I got asked about Juan Soto. Like that's a question that I think is definitely, when you look at the offseason, the biggest question they have.
I agree.
Is either that or like, why did you give him a 2-year deal instead of a 3-year deal? But again, he's going to get an extension if they win next year. So who really cares about a 2-year deal?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. Do we want to start with, I mean, this is a tough spot. Put yourself in AJ Preller's shoes. You're talking about the loss of an owner you had this unbelievable relationship with.
Yeah.
Who talked about the last time we heard from publicly AJ's excellence and stability. And now you're talking to the media and the public about your relationship with Peter Seidler. That's really tough. Let's start with that. We'll get to Jim's question, where I thought Jim at times during the question asking was a little bit on the ropes. He sounded a little nervous.
Hey, public speaking, man. They can get
but you did a good job. You did a good job. So the press conference starts with, of course, an acknowledgement of the passing of Peter Seidler from Padres President of Baseball Operations, AJ Preller.
It's been amazing to see the outpouring of love and support for Peter from Padre fans, from the San Diego community, from the baseball world, and throughout the country. For me personally, he was an amazing boss, mentor, and friend. I think our main connection, we shared the love of the game of baseball, and coaches, players, definitely the fans, and especially scouting and being on the field. Fortunately or unfortunately, we also shared a love of really big baggy clothes and some strange fashion sense. And just in talking to our players and our staff and our organization the last week, not that we need any extra motivation this year, but Peter's message of being best in class, we'll make sure that we follow through on that this year down here at Petco. And I'm looking forward to the baseball gods smiling down many moments this year on our club. So Peter be very excited about today as we announce Mike Shildt as the manager of the San Diego Padres.
All the feels. That's a tough spot. I feel for AJ. I thought he was very good in addressing the passing of Peter Seidler. That's not easy for anyone to do. He had a very long relationship with Peter.
Yeah, I could be a sap sometimes, and in that moment, I did feel like I was like, "Whoa!" Seeing somebody else hurting because of a passing of a friend, and the emotions, seeing someone with those type of emotions, you can't help but get emotional yourself, and that's what I felt in that moment. I'm just like, man, as much as I talk about AJ Preller and criticize him for his moves as a general manager, just as a human being, you have to feel the utmost amount of sympathy for him for what he's going through right now.
I agree with that.
At the end of the day, we're talking about, baseball transactions and moves and all of those things, but a human being, AJ Preller is obviously, and his emotions there poured out, and it was probably the most real moment that you'll ever see from AJ, and you can't help but feel for what he's going through right now, and it's definitely not something that I'm sure he'll just not think about for a while.
You've got an unstable organization that's been there's like an additional layer of cloudiness because of Peter Seidler's passing, which to me makes the Mike Shildt hire make all the more sense. We heard even before Peter had passed that the organization was looking at internal candidates. That's a very stable thing to do. Like when your house is rocking back and forth, you're looking for something to provide stability. Well, they know Mike Shildt. He's been in the organization for multiple years. They know he's managed successfully in the major leagues. Is it sexy? Probably not. Is it safe? Probably. But it makes sense for the organization now. I would say this. They just got to win in 2024, folks. He's got a 2-year deal. If they win, he's going to be back, and he might get the 1-year extension. If they lose, I think it all changes. I think he's got 1 year to win. I feel the same way about AJ Preller. Yeah, from a human perspective, you're right. What's going on with the organization is trying. The truth is they're going to get back to baseball. They're going to get on field, and they have to win. And we've said it before, but it wasn't even factually correct because when they didn't win, they retained their general manager. At times, they retained their manager. They just have to win. The 2-year deal to me screams that you got 1 year to do it. And the same thing to AJ Preller. You got 1 year to do it. And if 2024 doesn't work out, we can make changes in 2025. And I don't know if that's going to be accurate or not, but that's how it appears to me on the outside. A 2-year deal to me means you got to win in year one.
Listening to Mike Shildt, I've heard him before.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people have just because he's been a manager in this game and he's won a manager of the year back in 2019. He's been in the postseason a handful of times with the Cardinals before he got fired there. But like intentively listening to him today, I don't know. I got me on board. Like I'm still of the mindset of the roster next season and going forward is way more important than the manager, even though I would not have been happy if they hired Ryan Flaherty. But I am on board with them. I feel okay. I feel fine. Like there's nothing that I feel like is Jace Tingler level of skepticism. I don't feel anywhere close to that. I don't feel like this is just a ridiculous hire. I don't feel any of that. I feel like this is a very safe, very good, potentially hire. I don't think he is like a Bob Melvin type of hire where Bob Melvin to me screamed, oh, that's a big boy hire. This is kind of one of those safe, not too loud type of hires that potentially could work out.
Yeah, I mean, do I still have questions about why he was let go by St. Louis and these philosophical differences? I do. Do I want to know why this is a 2-year deal and not a 3-year deal? I do. Do I want to know why Mike Shildt hasn't interviewed for a manager job since leaving St. Louis? I do. But in hearing him today, including here, let's hear from Mike Shildt on winning, on the ultimate goal to bring a World Series to the city of San Diego. Mike Shildt's done this before. I mean, he managed in the big leagues for 3+ years with the Cardinals. He managed the minor leagues a long time. He's won a lot of games as a manager. Here's Mike Shildt from earlier today.
Now, look, I'm more than ready. I'm hungry and ready to get after it and ready to win a lot of baseball games. And, we talk about winning the World Series and clearly that's the North Star, as has been alluded to. We got to start win our division. We haven't haven't competed as well to, win that division in the NL West the last couple of years. And, I expect that to be the first goal, is to knock down the West and move forward from there.
Now, you don't like this answer.
No, I don't.
Because you were
I don't hate it, but I don't think a division means anything. That's my feeling on it, just having watched baseball the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think winning a division and getting that bye, I'll take that. I prefer the bye, even though the team with the bye is now 2-6, maybe in those 8 series, something like that. Definitely under 500 in those 8 series. So I'll take the bye. I think it's easier to win a World Series with a bye than without one. I just think that the game has changed so much that I just want to get in playing good baseball as opposed to worry about buys and divisions. You can win a division and not get a bye if you're the 3rd seed.
Yeah, but that's just standard, coach introductional, press conference stuff of, our first priority is to beat insert team rival here. It doesn't matter where you go. If you get hired as the Red Sox, our main goal is to beat the Yankees.
I agree.
And so it's a little lip service. He's trying to just keep the fans behind him.
And that's what really introductory press conferences are always.
Definitely.
Lip service. And,
I agree.
And I thought today's press conference overall was a good introduction to Mike Shildt.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed confident. He seemed, like he's been there before, like he obviously has.
Right.
He didn't hear anything crazy, like I've managed games in my mind. Like he's been there. He's done it. He's come from the Cardinals organization. Still curious to the real true reasons why he got fired and why he hasn't got another opportunity since then. Do I think, and I still stand by my, whoever they hired, here after Bob Melvin was on day one a downgrade, just because of the credentials that Bob Melvin has, but doesn't mean that whoever they hired it doesn't mean that they can't be good.
Sure.
And I think Mike Shildt has an opportunity to be a good manager for this team, except you just have to look at the roster and the pitching and the relationships and dealing with Manny and the clubhouse dynamic and all that. But I liked what he had to say today. I got nothing bad to say about Mike Shildt right now. I have nothing bad.
A couple of things. If you're listening to us, what do you think of this hire? Padres fans, we want to hear from you. 844-570-1360. Open lines if you want to weigh in. What do you think of this hire? 844-570-1360. You can also text us. 70470, start it with team. 70470, start it with team. The same thing we both said over the last month now is that they will hire a manager, whomever it is, doesn't address Soto's future, doesn't address Snell's future, doesn't address the rotation, 82 and 80, and on and on and on. To your credit, before the press conference ends, literally the last question of the press conference, you take it back to baseball and roster, and you're holding feet to the fire. And you want to know about Juan Soto's future. So let's hear the question from Jim. You got to hear Jim. Jim, steady Jim. Take a listen to Jim's question. Yeah, you don't get flustered.
I don't
think so.
You heard his updates?
Yeah. He gets very flustered, but he's always Jim.
Once I lose the path, I'm like,
to me, you were a little shaky, but you got it together. This is Jim with AJ on Soto.
Yes, for AJ. A couple weeks ago, Scott Boras mentioned that Juan Soto was in your plans for this upcoming season. Do you think that Juan Soto will be here next year, and do you expect him to be part of your plans for upcoming season?
Yeah, I think Juan Soto's a player like that's always in your plans. I think obviously that's the off season will we'll get to the next couple of weeks and continue conversations with Scott, Juan, and kind of get a sense of where he's at for what it means down the road for San Diego in terms of a contract, and then also we understand the value of Juan playing for us next year on a contract year. So having his bat in the lineup is important. I think at the end of the day, you're always from an off-season standpoint, you'll listen and we'll listen, but we think our position player team is very strong. We'd like to keep that position player team together. We also understand we've got to go out and add some pitching to the group that we currently have. So I think that's what the next few weeks will be about.
Non-committal.
Very non-committal. A little worrisome.
Yeah, kind of, honestly.
A little worrisome. Like, you heard a definitive Scott Boras answer of, well, they've showed us their plans and Juan Soto's in those plans. And it's an AJ answer, right? Leaving every possible outcome open. Because if he goes out there and he says, look, Juan Soto's going to be on this team next year, and we'll worry about the future when that time has come.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they trade Juan Soto in 3 weeks. You're like, what the hell, man? So that answer is a typical AJ answer of, hey, we're going to look at every possibility and talk to, Scott and Juan about what they want to do and going forward. And we love to have Juan Soto here, obviously, but we'll see what happens because we need pitching and we got to fill out this roster.
I almost wonder if Boris said that now just to kind of throw it out there to paint the Padres to be the bad guy and to be like, oh no, they told us he's going to be part of their plans. And then like, well, actually we never said that. Oh, just make it just kind of put it out in the ether. Like agents like just, float fake stories to try and get their clients more money. It
Well,
kind
I
of
would
feels
say
like
this.
he's doing that.
If you're Boris, you want your client in San Diego. Why? Because you want the comfort, familiarity heading into the walk year.
Yeah.
He already moved and didn't perform. You know that if you're Scott Boras. If he moves again, now make no mistake, this is not Hitters USA yard.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that. But Soto proved last year he can hit here and he can post numbers here. I think you want your client to stay. I think you want him to have a close enough to a career year. And then you want to hit free agency. I think when Preller says what he said today publicly, it really does open up the idea to moving Juan Soto. I mean, he publicly admitted to the fact that they will listen. This superstar player that you traded the world for, that you said we want for 3 pennant races, he told Jim today, yeah, we'll listen. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
This superstar, future Hall of Famer, a year and a half into his tenure, will listen. I mean, that alone, I think, is newsworthy. It is not a guarantee. Obviously, if you've followed the payroll story, if you heard AJ today, it is not a guarantee that Juan Soto will be back.
So when you were in your car,
Yeah, and I was hearing
and you were listening,
I was laughing.
and all of a sudden you hear Don Orsillo say, Jim Russell, what do you think I was going to ask anybody, like AJ or Mike?
My gosh, I was hoping
because I know you, and you're like, and immediately you perked up probably. And you're like,
so excited.
no, oh my God.
How many Pokemon can you name?
Well, I know that like a month or two ago, you were like, if I'm in the same room with AJ, I'm going to hold his feet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, I'm going to ask the why do you deserve to keep your job question.
I'm not asking that question today.
You've never won 90 games. You've never won a division. You've had more failure than success. You've hired 4 managers. All this, right? You can't develop from within. Why do you deserve to keep your job?
Oh my God. Dude, if I asked that question today, by the way, it was a full house. There's a lot of people there. Every exec, Eric Grupner was 2 rows ahead of me. There's no way I'm asking that
Today
question.
wasn't the day for that.
Well, why?
How worried were you that you're going to ask your question and he's just going to pause and go, all right, any other questions?
Right, like shut up,
okay,
idiot.
Bye, guys. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
There's no point in asking that question because AJ's here. Like he's given another opportunity, and he has the opportunity to go out there. And if they win, then everything's going to be perceived as fine. So nothing we can do about that. I mean, there's no point in asking questions of like, why are you still here when he's not going anywhere?
Okay, the other thing, what I would have loved, considering your criticism of AJ Preller over the last decade, I would have loved if you completely softballed it and we're very complimentary. Like AJ, when you consider all your accomplishments over the last 4 or 5 years, getting that 2020 team to the postseason, winning a series, winning 2 series in 2022. Shoot, you've won 3 series since 2020, as many as most teams in the National League. How will you continue this success moving forward? I would have loved if you just completely were pro AJ in the moment and lost all credibility. But you've maintained credibility with your relatively unnerving question of AJ Preller. I thought it was a good question. I thought it was a good answer. By AJ standard, I thought it was a good answer. Because he didn't say there's no scenario where we trade him.
Right.
He left open the possibility of them trading him.
And if he is open to listening on Juan Soto, you can kind of read the tea leaves as okay, this is going to be something that will be in play here in the next couple of weeks.
Dude, they're getting
and
calls.
Rumors will heat up fast.
When you say something like that publicly, that's a reason for Brian Cashman to check in. When you say we'll listen, then that's what he's saying.
If I'm Cashman, I'm like, oh, really? Cool.
Oh, wait, is this press conference over?
Let me call you right now.
Yeah, Yankees have been very proactive regarding Juan Soto. Listen, if you're hit with an offer that makes sense for your organization, That's your job. I mean, we could be critical. I'll be critical if they move Juan Soto. If he thinks it puts the organization in a better spot to move Juan Soto financially into the future, otherwise, then do it. That's his job. It's not my job.
Yeah.
It's his job to make that determination. I don't love it from the outside, but if he thinks it makes him better and there's a deal you can't say no to, then make the deal.
So I put a very, very scientific poll up on our Twitter,
Okay.
or X, whatever you want to call it, at Jon and Jim. Do you like the hire of Mike Shildt?
Okay.
So far, 83%, John, are clocking in saying yes, they like the hire.
Wow. 83%. Well, here's the thing. We said it yesterday. All the options were similar. It's not like they went with Shildt. Like, man, they could have had Melvin.
Yeah.
It was like you're choosing between Shildt and Benji Gill. We liked the Benji Gill story.
And potentially Ryan Flaherty.
Yeah, we didn't love the Flaherty story. You know, the Adrian Gonzalez we find out today was interviewed for this job by
That's
Kevin
random.
Acee.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, considering the candidates, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean,
in one thing, honestly, one thing that AJ mentioned that was interesting. I know Darren mentioned it too when I turned on Darren's show after the press conference. At a time in this organization when there's a lot of things happening, right? The owner passes away.
yeah,
The amount of movement that you're potentially going to see with your roster upcoming this offseason, the lack of, I guess, big funds to go out and pay for players to come here. You don't have a TV deal. You know, a lot of things happening, right? You just went through turmoil with your previous manager. Going safe isn't the worst thing in the world, and taking somebody that is already has been in the building and is familiar with the shortcomings of this team and organization and knows like the inner workings a little bit of what's going on and has relationships already with people. It's probably not like the best idea to maybe bring in somebody that has none of that. So going the Mike Shildt route, which has like all of that in a time in your organization where it's pretty uneasy, it kind of makes all the sense in the world.
and that's what I started the show by saying, like the stability factor. Like you got an unstable organization, whether it's Peter, whether it's the roster construction, payroll. Do you want to add more instability by going outside? Do you want more unknowns or less? And I think they answered that question here today. What do you guys think of the hire? 844-570-1360, 70470. Start it with team. One hire down, one to go as we turn our attention to San Diego State football as well. Getting some news on that in the last 24 hours. We'll share with you later this hour, plus a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California, and a pair of tickets to Senior Night, San Diego State, Fresno State, Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. What do you think of this hire? Mike Shildt, the new manager of the Padres. 844-570-1360, 70470. Start your message with team. That's next. All right, Padres fans, what do you think of this hire? Mike Shildt, the next manager of the Padres. 844-570-1360 if you want to weigh in. You can text us 70470. Start your message with team. Plus, we'll turn our attention to the Aztecs coaching hire next.
All right, this update is brought to you by NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. It's official. The Padres have a new manager. They hired Mike Shildt today to a 2-year contract. We'll get into more of that coming up next. Aztecs basketball and football this weekend. Saturday, got a basketball and football doubleheader as basketball takes on Cal. 4 p.m. tip-off there, followed by our Aztecs pregame show for football as they take on Fresno State, 7:30 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium. It's senior night, and it is the old oil can battle, 7:30 kickoff there. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup when the Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 4:30 Eastern. The NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
All right, 844-570-1360. Mike Shildt is the new Padres manager. What's your reaction to it? You can text us as well, 70470. Start your message with team. Ben Fadden wants to weigh in. Should we let him?
Where's he weighing in on?
On the phone.
On the phone?
Look up.
The phone.
760, a couple texts here real quick. 760, I love the Shildt hire, and Jim's question was amazing. Okay, you have that. We have this from the 619 that says, if anything, Shildt knows exactly what we have in the minors, which might help better supplement the roster in areas that we lack. Last 2 years in the organization, is that something that has value potentially moving forward, his familiarity with the system? Maybe.
Now this question, this 619 number texts in, it says, I think it's good news for the Padres to have Mike Shildt as he's been at the World Series before.
What, as a fan?
I don't think has he been in the World Series before? As like a part of a, he has not been as a manager.
Maybe on a staff,
maybe on
right?
a staff? Because he's been with the Cardinals. He was with the Cardinals forever.
And he was on the big league staff before he was managing.
So was he on the Cardinal staff in what, 2011?
Well, the last one that they won, was it all the way back in 2011? Their last one was 2011. Was he on this? I don't know if he was on the staff in 2011. I would have thought he'd be in the minor league system at that point.
I don't know. But he was with the Cardinals because he was with the Cardinals for like 17, 18 years, right?
Right. Exactly. That's a really good question.
Well, guess what? Bob Melvin was also been to a World Series too.
He
as
was
part of a staff.
Yeah, he managed the minor leagues in 2011.
Okay.
So he managed the minor leagues. And by the way, he was promoted to the big league staff in 2017.
Okay.
So, but he's been part of a World Series organization.
Right. And look, today, I know this town and people love to do this is bash the people that leave town. And I'm guilty of it too, as well as for some. But like, I'm not going to bash Bob Melvin at all. Like,
who's bashing Bob Melvin?
I think there's some sentiment out there is like, good, we have Mike Shildt. He's better than Bob. He does this better, does that better. I feel like there's a lot of the same messages with Mike Shildt today as there was with Bob Melvin, and everyone was excited about Bob Melvin. So I think everyone's going to be excited about Mike Shildt.
I think it's different in terms of I'm not sensing the same level of excitement.
You're right. I'm not either.
I think I'm sensing contentness.
Yeah.
But not like, I think there are people that are excited, and I'm not saying don't be excited. That's the last thing I'm saying. I'm just saying 2 years ago, you lured a manager away from an organization under contract
who was
highly thought of. And at the time it was considered a really big win, and it did pay off in year one. This one to me is more like it's good, and he had success in St. Louis. It's just a different level of good from when they hired Bob Melvin.
It's almost like a Bob Melvin light.
It is. I agree. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. And I think that's probably why they went this route, is that Bob Melvin had a lot of qualities that this team needed. The one quality that they just couldn't get past was the relationship and working with AJ Preller.
Yeah.
And that ruined everything. So you hope going forward, Shildt and Preller can work together, but it always feels like they can't on day one. It's what happens when they hit the bump in the road, like middle of year 2.
Yeah, Shildt said the right things today about working with Preller.
Yeah.
He really did. He said, listen, I'm the manager. Whatever they decide, and we might butt heads on things, but whatever they decide, and I'll manage the club.
I want to get to this text before we get to, what's his name? Ben?
Yeah, his name's Ben.
Yeah. 619 says, if anyone doubts Mike Shildt, just look at Mrs. Shildt. My man knows what he's doing.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Good job, Mike.
Well done.
Yeah. Golf clap for you, buddy.
844-570-1360. Let's start with Ben Fadden, Talking Friars, line 4. Ben, what's going on, man? What do you think?
And by the way, I'm an idiot, whatever. You can't even call me that because I already know it. So move on. Give your opinion.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Yeah, so with this Mike Shildt hiring, I think that this could be different, and I say that because this wasn't Bob Melvin, this wasn't Andy Green, this wasn't Jace Tingler. Like, Mike Shildt, he's not coming into the organization. He has this relationship with AJ Preller. He knows the staff. He knows people in the minor leagues. And again, that relationship with AJ Preller, I think that's big because Bob Melvin, he had never met AJ Preller before they had conversation. Didn't know about AJ Preller a whole lot. Didn't know how he operated. And so I think that can really help here. And like I think it was John that just mentioned about Mike Shildt and his messaging during this press conference about, whatever they do, I'm going to go do the job. I'm the manager. I think him realizing that from the get-go here can be really crucial and can really help this team end up having a successful, maybe it's a couple-year run. Who knows how long this ends up being, but I think it's off to a good start. But, it was off to a good start, we thought, with Bob Melvin. So who really knows? By the way, Jim, good job with that question. Sounded a little bit nervous, but good job.
A little?
Oh my God.
Ben, thank you. Listen, you know me. In the history of I don't ask questions. I'll ask questions at an Aztec press conference. Here's my I got 2 concerns when asking a question. When Don Orsillo is like the mediator or whatever.
Yeah.
When I raise my hand, is he going to know who I am?
Oh, that was a big concern.
Okay.
When I asked for the mic.
So there's that. And then my other concern is, I don't know. It's just, it's the Padres and I don't know. Do we need to ask a question in that setting? Like, is there anything so pressing that I'm going to ask that's going to elicit any type of answer that I'm even looking for?
The only thing that I was thinking about with the Juan Soto question is when's
People
the next
wanna
time
know.
we're going to hear from AJ Preller?
I would think the winter meetings in 2 weeks.
Okay. You're probably right.
Yep.
He'll talk. I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But until then, like, we're not going to hear much from him.
Right.
Probably at all. And who knows if in the next 2 weeks they actually end up trading Juan Soto. So I think that the fan base is definitely number one thing on their mind is the future of Juan Soto. And is he going to get traded? Is he going to be back next year? So yeah, I thought
I like it. You spoke for the people. People
I
want to know.
I might have not asked I mean, dude, yes. In a public setting, let me just tell you real quick. In a public setting, with all of your peers around you, I know pretty much everybody in that room almost. I don't know how they feel about me per se.
I do.
They all hate me. But at the same time, it's a little kind of like on the radio, I'm just talking to you and Brent.
Right.
And I'm not like
talking to AJ Preller.
Talking to
when you rip AJ Preller, you're not doing that in front of him.
I'm not in a room with like 50, 60 people.
Yep.
And so I didn't rip AJ Preller. Just ask him
No,
a question about Juan Soto.
When we do it here, he's not in our presence. Because we do it here.
It wasn't AJ. It was everybody else.
844-570-1360. Darren on line 3. Darren, you're on with Jon and Jim.
Guys, what's going on this afternoon?
What's up, man?
What up?
What's going on? So, honestly, I hate to be the kind of boring negative guy, but this whole managerial search, I know there was a lot of kind of hubbub behind it. I couldn't possibly care less who they hired because when it comes down to it, the guy who they hired as manager isn't going to be the one who's getting the big hit with runners in scoring position or winning a game in extra innings next year. Honestly, a lot was put behind this search, but when it comes down to it, it matters about the dudes who are on the field who massively underperformed and gave up. So if Mike Shildt can make them not give up, then fantastic. I'm pumped for that. But honestly, I don't think really a lot of this organizational kind of exterior stuff really matters at all. I mean, I get a manager is important, but really it comes down to on opening day, the guys on the field caring and totally reversing course from what was an embarrassing year last year. I don't think Mike Shildt or any other managerial candidate has the ability to, make that happen. So honestly, I guess it's good that they got him. They got an organizational guy, whatever, but this all doesn't really matter in the long run.
Thanks, Darren. I think it does matter. It does.
It matters, but the question is to what extent? And we don't really know. We'll see it play out.
Like, who thought Torey Lovullo was going to be a World Series manager and received a great manager a couple of years ago when they lost 100+ games? Right. When you're in it for a long period of time, you get a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bob has a reputation. 3-time manager of the year. He's been to LCSs with 2 different clubs, American League and National League. He's been on a World Series winning staff in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He's won multiple division titles. I know you don't care about that, but still. Right?
Back in the day, I would have.
So he has that reputation on his resume, right? Guys like Mike Shildt, yes, they have a shorter resume. It's still fairly good, right? Manager of the year, 290 win seasons. I believe he won a division, maybe. I don't know. I don't think he did. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's still very short and it's yet to be seen. And so going forward, I think a manager does matter for sure. But yeah, to Darren's point too, is like, hey, when Manny Machado and Juan Soto, if he's still on this team, and Xander Bogaerts are up with runner at second and less than 2 outs and they don't come through, like that's a problem.
That's Mike Schmidt. That's on Mike Shildt.
And Mike Schmidt.
And Schmidt. By the way, he won a division in 2019 with the Cardinals. They went 91-71, 2 games better than the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll get back to the phones in a moment if you want to weigh in on Mike Shildt. Plus, now that the Padres have made a hire, we can turn our attention to the Aztecs football program. Are they getting closer to making a hire? 844-570-1360, 70470 started with team. We have a 4-pack of tickets to give away here today. In fact, we have a pair of tickets for San Diego State, Fresno State Saturday night to give away. We also have a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California to give away. More of your phone calls plus the latest with the Aztecs head football search next. All right, more of your calls on Mike Shildt, the next Padres manager, 844-570-1360, plus an update on the Aztecs head coach search with their football team next. All right, we have a potential candidate for the Aztecs that we'll discuss in a moment. We want to hear from you on Mike Shildt. He's the new manager of the Padres. Not exactly surprising, but introduced today. People are weighing in. 844-570-1360. 70470. You can start your message with the word team, T-E-A-M. Let's go back to the phones and John. John, thanks for calling in. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, fellas. Hope all is well with you and happy early Thanksgiving.
Happy
You too,
Thanksgiving,
John.
John.
Yeah, I mean, it's this whole Mike Shildt thing. I mean, yeah, it's not surprising at all. But, you know, at the end of the day, we really got to see some progress on the field. I mean, I was kind of looking at Mike Shildt today and his press conference, and I'm like imagining, gosh, I hope he doesn't have to do what Bob Melvin did every single night and have to explain to the media why, you know, the Padres didn't hit runners in scoring position or their pitchers didn't do, you know, I just hopefully, I mean, it is what it is at this point. I mean, I think people are meh, but we'll see what happens, honestly, at this point.
Thanks, John. Appreciate
Thanks, John.
the call. That's an interesting way of looking at it. He's looking at Mike Shildt, and he already sees him explaining for the Padres issues
Right.
in post-game press conferences, which is basically the manager's job. You do this every single day, before games, after games.
Yeah.
Do you think that was part of the interview process? They're like, okay, Mike, you're 0-10 in extra inning games.
Oh,
Right. What are you
and
saying?
your team is hitting 125 in extras. Excuse time. Go.
What do you got? What kind of excuses do you have? It's more about this roster than anything at this point. I still don't think, and I'm never going to think, the manager doesn't matter.
I agree with that.
I think the manager
Completely.
absolutely does. because if the manager didn't matter, then who cares if they hired Ryan Flaherty or Jay Stingler? And it's like,
Right.
We saw Jay Stingler did not work. We see a lot of times teams that are their goal and their mindset is, World Series, not really go out and hire first time guys.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that often. So Mike Shildt, I think the one thing that he has in his corner that no other candidate had is that he has been a manager of successful teams. And he's won manager of the year before. And albeit it was only a couple years, the credentials are still better than the three other candidates that were out there, and Ryan Flaherty, Phil Nevin, and Benji Gill.
Yes, you're right. Credentials alone, of those four, Shildt checks more boxes.
He does.
He just does. Now, it doesn't mean it works here now, but then again, it doesn't mean it would have worked with Benji Gill here now or whomever.
Right. And you had somebody here that had better credentials than Mike Shildt with Bob Melvin, but with what happened there, and if you have to replace Bob, which seemed like they were perfectly fine with, it's not a bad choice to go with somebody that is already viewed as a guy that maybe deserves a second chance around the league. And I listened to Mike Farron today on MLB radio on Sirius XM, and he was like, this is a great hire because Mike Shildt deserves this second chance. He deserves to be a manager in baseball again after what happened in St. Louis, because he was successful in the 3 years that he was there.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. He was. There's no question. He had the amazing, remember the 2021 collapse of the Padres. A part of it was that Cardinals September run.
The nail in the coffin was that series in St. Louis.
Yeah, remember the Machado Tatis blow up, flare up, whatever it was.
Yeah.
The opposite side of that coin was whatever, a 16 or 17 game win streak. 17 team heading into the postseason, obviously, with the way they finished. I mean, the accomplishments speak for themselves.
Yeah.
253 and 199 or 252 and 199. Guy has won. But what he had in St. Louis, does he have here? I said this earlier. Melvin, when he got here in 2022, the offseason before the season, I think just had more to work with. Higher payroll, better team.
Mm-hmm.
Lower payroll, worse team for Shildt. So again,
still a $200 million potential.
True,
it's not low,
but the $200 million isn't spent like Atlanta.
True,
5 players take up 60% of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the other 21 players have to take up 30 or 40% of the payroll.
Yeah.
So it's just different. And I agree with you. I think managers matter. I just don't know if he's going to have enough for it to matter.
True.
And I hope he does. I really hope he does.
Because pitching is definitely, it seems like, the number one priority for this team.
Sure.
This offseason. About Juan Soto, AJ mentioned like when he pitching, Mike Shildt mentioned pitching. And for me, the number one need of this team is pitching in the offseason. So we'll see what they go, because if they don't have pitching, then Mike Shildt's not going to look a great manager.
Exactly. Chicken egg stuff. It really is. All right. Hour 2, you're going to hear from a potential Aztec head coach candidate, or you'll hear on a potential Aztecs head coach candidate for football. Plus, in the second hour of the show, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win tickets for San Diego State, Fresno State, Saturday night. Snapdragon Stadium celebrates senior night with the Aztecs. First 10,000 fans get a San Diego State beanie. Tickets and info at goaztecs.com. In the 5 o'clock hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California for Legoland holidays. On the other side, we'll pass along an Aztec head coach candidate. Plus, we'll get into the wrap. It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and it's next. All right, and turning your headphone down, and you're going to be mad. In 3, 2, Hey guys, it's Schaefer. Novo Brazil Brewing is a proud supporter of the Mesa Foundation and the San Diego State Aztecs men's basketball team. And with 4 fantastic locations, including one at Otay Ranch with massive LED screens, they're getting ready to open a fresh new spot in Mission Valley as well this month. Novo Brazil Mission Valley will be a 350-seat restaurant with a full bar menu, 60 taps of beer, kombucha. All right, here we go. In 3. Novo Brazil Brewing is a proud supporter of the Mesa Foundation and the San Diego State Aztecs men's basketball team. With 4 fantastic locations, including one at Otay Ranch with massive LED screens, they're getting ready to open a fresh new spot in Mission Valley this month. Novo Brazil Mission Valley will be a 350-seat restaurant with a full bar menu and 60 taps of beer, kombucha, seltzers, as well as eclectic food offerings like sandwiches, tacos, burgers, empanadas, appetizers, and Brazilian-inspired entrees. For more information, visit novobrew.com.
All right, this update is brought to you by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. Today, Padres hired their newest manager, Mike Shildt, to a 2-year contract. Moving over to the Aztecs, basketball and football this weekend. Football, 7:30 at Snapdragon Stadium for senior night versus Fresno State. But before that, San Diego State basketball takes on Cal, 4 p.m. tip-off there. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup when the Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 4:30 Eastern. The NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, Jon and Jim. This hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to San Diego State and Fresno State Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium senior night, Aztecs Bulldogs, Old Oil Can on the line. Tickets available at goaztecs.com. Next hour, a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. Much more on Mike Shildt's hiring. What do you have?
Before we get into talking about San Diego State's future head coach, I need to give a shout out.
Okay.
To Lalo, the security man down at Petco Park.
Okay, good. Lalo,
yes. I went to the press conference today, and Lalo is the security man outside. And he says he listens to our show all the time.
Oh, okay.
And
what's up, Lalo?
And one thing he said was he expected me to be taller in person.
Really? If you listen, you would think he'd be shorter potentially.
He says he's like, your pictures don't do you justice, man. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
No, the pictures do you justice
So
if
he
you thought you were
roadhoused
taller.
you.
Little bit.
Yeah, because that was a line in Roadhouse that he was going to Patrick Swayze. I thought you'd be taller.
He did. He's like, I thought he'd be taller, but he was very nice. Great to meet him. I know he listens all the time. So shout out to Lalo down at Petco Park.
Lalo, give us a call if you're listening. 844-570-1360. All right, we'll get back to the Padres. So Kirk Kenney today reporting that Tony White, former 9-year assistant at San Diego State as a cornerbacks coach, coached under both Brady Hoke and Rocky Long, played at UCLA as a linebacker, has since bounced around. He's the defensive coordinator at Nebraska. He reported that Tony White is a candidate for the Aztecs head coaching vacancy. Matt Rule yesterday, he's the head coach at Nebraska, was asked about his coordinators and specifically Tony White. This is the head coach of Nebraska talking about Tony White.
Back, you mentioned the coach is calling them. I mean, how do you advise your assistants? It's a good problem to have when you have assistants that are on hot boards and things.
Go get a job.
How do you advise them to handle it while the season's still going on?
Go get a job. I told Tony. I mean, search firm called me, asked for Tony's number. I said, yes, you should hire Tony White. Tony White should be a head coach. He's excellent. I tell Tony, don't take the wrong one. Don't take the wrong job now. Like, don't take a job with no resources. Don't take a job with no support. Don't take a job without a great recruiting base. Don't take a job. Hear me now when I say this. This is deep. Where the expectations outweigh the commitment. If I want to be in great shape and I work out 1 day a week, okay, you want to be a 10-win team and you're spending at the middle of your conference, okay, the expectation. So I do that with all my guys because it's like the players. I mean, I want them to want to be here, and I also want them to advance. I don't want guys who only want to be here, and I've brought guys back, like when I see Elijah Robinson at A&M, I get proud. Evan Cooper's been with me, but he left and went to Miami and came back and worked for me again. So, in season, I mean, we have so much time. You know what I'm saying? We have so much time. Our coaches are here at night. They're here. We have guys that show up at 4 a.m, not me. We have guys at night. Our guys are professional. They would never, ever put anything but the players first. But yeah, anybody that's called me about Tony as a head coach, I've said, yeah, give him a shot. I tell Tony, you pick the right job. Don't pick the wrong job, because we're going to be good on defense here for a while.
All right, so Matt Rule on Tony White. Tony White's got good credentials that I just share with you. 9 years at San Diego State. Now he's a defensive coordinator. Does anyone have an issue with that? It's a San Diego State team that offensively has not been at the same level as where they've been defensively the last 15 years. Defensive coordinator, known for his recruiting ability. Nebraska's defense has been really good. He seems primed for a head coach opportunity. Syracuse is now open. San Diego State is open. What do you think of the name Tony White?
So I know about a week ago, or maybe longer than that, when we were talking about this, I was adamant that the next hire for this Aztecs football team needs to be an offensive-minded guy. With that being said, if you can get a defensive-minded head coach that can recruit well and, can get an offensive coordinator in here that is, pretty experienced, I think, and you have the offensive side of the ball be a priority for you, I would be okay with it.
Hold on. Sidebar. Lalo has called in.
Oh, Lalo.
We'll get back to the Aztecs in a second. All right. So we're just talking about you. You're not kidding about being a listener.
Yeah.
Lalo, you met Jim today and thought he'd be taller. Thanks for calling in. What would you thought he'd be like 6'4" or what?
Nah, bro. You know what? I thought he would have been something like 6 feet, or for some reason I thought he'd be much taller than what I saw, man.
So when you saw him, how tall did you think he was? Like, did you think today he was like 5'6" or what?
Well, you know what? I'm 5'8.5", and I thought I was taller than him, but he still at me and said he was 5'10".
Lalo, man, bro, I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10", man. It's but
I don't know, man.
Lalo says he's looking down at you.
I was giving you a lot of praise, how awesome you were, and it was great to meet you. And you're a listener of our show, and you're throwing me under the bus here, man. What's going on? I thought we were boys.
You know what, bro? I'm not trying to clown, man, but I was seriously expecting someone a lot taller. That's why I told you that.
This is amazing. What do you think of this, Lalo? What do you think of the Padres going with Mike Shildt?
You know what, man? It's I don't want to call it a safe move, but it's a good move, man. I wasn't surprised, to be honest with you. Deep down inside, I was hoping, I had my fingers crossed, maybe Benji Gill.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Being a hometown guy myself, born and raised here in National City, local guy, but Shildt is a good move, man. A lot of experience there, man. He's been around the team, like you guys were saying. It's good, man. There's nothing bad about it, bro.
Lalo, thank you.
Thanks, Lalo.
Appreciate you chiming in on Jim's height, and thank you for listening. Seriously, appreciate it, man.
Hey, first thing I told Jim, man, I listen to you guys on the daily, bro. Seriously, and not that I didn't recognize him, I was just taken back, man. I was looking for a bigger guy.
Lalo, appreciate it, man.
Thanks
really
for giving us content forever.
That's the thing. That's the thing with radio. Like you
thought your bald spot would be way bigger.
Yeah. Did he even comment on that? That's the thing with radio, though. You really don't know. There's a lot of people that have no clue what I look like that are listening. I didn't know what Steve Hartman looked like before I met him 7 years ago. Here,
you know a name.
Yeah, you know a voice.
And you know a voice,
but you don't know what these people look like.
Yeah,
sometimes you do in this world with YouTube, and
there's a lot of people that like. He's on our station later at nights on the weekends and overnights.
Who?
Ben Maller.
I have no clue what he looks like. I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna Google him.
His voice to me, and I think he's a great radio host for late nights. By the way,
this is Ben Maller.
Yeah. His voice and what he looks like, putting those two together. When I first saw what Ben Maller looked like, I was shocked.
Really?
So it is like that in radio, where you listen to somebody all the time, and I don't know if Lalo checks us out on YouTube, but he does follow. He said he followed us on social media and looks at all our pictures and everything. But if you don't know what someone looks like, putting a voice to a face
weird.
A lot of times, it's a very weird thing when you do it.
All right, back to the Aztecs for a second. We'll get to the wrap coming up as well.
Lalo just crushed me without. He
killed you.
He killed me.
So Tony White, I mean, Aztec fans, what do you think? 844-570-1360, 70470. Start your message with
think,
team.
John?
I've heard this name and you've known of Tony White's successes. He did a really good job here. He was the recruiting coordinator. He was a defensive coach under Rocky and Brady. Those are things you absolutely love. Now, again, if you're so focused on offense, which I understand, but no matter whether the head coach is an offensive guy, quote unquote, or a defensive guy, I still think he has to hire an offensive coordinator. Like, you could go get this quote unquote offensive genius head coach. He may not call plays. You still need an offensive coordinator, and you still need to bring a quarterback. So my only question, if you're bringing Tony White, is the same question I have if you're bringing an offensive guy. What does it mean for your quarterback room?
Mhm.
And who's calling plays? But I'm not ruling Tony White out just because he is a quote unquote defensive coach. Like, if he's the right coach, he's the right coach.
Yeah. But whoever you hire, no matter who it is, I do feel like the emphasis of going forward needs to be put. There needs to be put a lot on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the offensive side of the ball needs to be a priority.
Sure.
And if you hire, maybe if you hire a defensive coordinator, you still keep the I guess, standards and the core values of San Diego State, which is running the ball in defense first. But if you also have the priority of making the offense, matter a lot, like, we have to put a lot of our resources into the offensive side of the football. I'll take care of the defense because I trust myself.
Right.
Then I could see how it could work. Because if you hire an offensive guy and they get the offense fixed, that's great. But what if it turns into, I'm not saying like it's USC, but USC, they have an amazing offense. They suck on defense. Lincoln Riley could give two you-know-whats about their defense, and that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you go defensive for, head coach, you trust them with the defense, right? And then you put a lot of emphasis on the offensive side of the football, knowing the defense is locked down, and that's the core values of San Diego State. Could work. And is he a good recruiter? That's another important thing too. Is he a good recruiter?
I listen. I would say this. This isn't, for me, in my opinion. Maybe people disagree. This isn't a let's go win the press conference, let's go sell tickets hire. The hire has to be right in terms of what it means, wins and losses on the field. Of course, you want to sell tickets. Everyone does. Of course, you want sexy or splashy or to win a press conference. But at the end of the day, what's that buy you? Very little. You need to find someone that fits here and can win. And I understand there's also the idea that not only do they need to win, they need to do it in a certain way. And the way in which they were winning wasn't good enough. I understand what people have said. But to me, I'm more concerned with winning and finding the right person than I am with a name or a press conference. Like, it's so much more than that. It's such an important hire that you just got to find someone that can win at San Diego State. They're going to have the resources. If you listen to Matt Rule, he's like, well, make sure, Tony, you pick the right job. San Diego State is going to be well funded for the Mountain West. Be at the top of the Mountain West. High assistant coach pool, high salary for the head coach. They've got the facility with Snapdragon Stadium. J.D. Wicker even saying they can do things with facilities potentially on campus as well. So I think for the right person, it's the right job. By the way, Derek Togerson, if you're listening, Chris Vanini today saying that you could argue the San Diego State job is better than Syracuse. He also said San Diego State's a better job than Boise State, and it's the best Group of 5 job, Derek, if you're listening.
Oh, man.
Okay? So all this, hey, is it a good job? Yeah, it is. I mean, if you follow the sport, if you know the sport, if you understand college football, it's a good job. And I'm not the only one saying that. The Athletic's saying that.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm not. I'm yelling at Derek.
Okay.
Who will join us maybe next week on Sports Wrap. Maybe. I have no idea.
He will not, actually.
He might be done.
He'll be darn a trip.
Oh, Willie, you have the full schedule of Sports Wrap.
I do.
Did you send it to me?
You on the list.
Oh, okay.
Wait, check your email.
I haven't been checking email the way I used to.
Probably. So, okay, behind the scenes here real quick. So we did a wrap-up show this morning as soon as the Shildt news broke.
Yeah. The Shildt news. Be careful.
I know that's going to be some name that you're going to be very careful with. And by the way, it's not SCH, it's SH.
Okay.
I digress.
Mm-hmm.
You were so adamant that we had a meeting today, a station meeting.
11 a.m. on Tuesdays, I was told.
And I was like, wait.
Next week.
I was like, wait, we do? And you were like, yes, bro. We have
got
to
be off this YouTube at 11.
I was like, okay, I guess we have a meeting. And we didn't have a meeting.
Did you guys, was that stated in the email that it was beginning next week?
Yes.
Man,
I said right in the thing, 28th.
I've just been moving at a quick pace.
I can see that.
I've just been all over the place.
Well, you must have missed the one where you're fired, actually. So.
What? What are you talking
I'm
about?
I was wondering
kidding.
why my fob didn't work.
Yeah. No wonder you couldn't get in the back door.
What do you think is a more important
Pause.
hire? That works again.
Oh, so you got that email.
I got that email.
Bum.
I didn't get the email. It just works.
Oh,
You're such an idiot. What do you think's a more important hire? Padres or Aztecs? Padres have made their hire. What's going to
Aztecs.
be of more significance?
Aztecs.
I agree.
Because with the Padres, the manager obviously matters.
But they go through, it's dime a dozen.
They
a
go
little bit.
Every 2 years, there's a new manager here. The roster is so much more important.
Right.
Okay. Now, I think the manager role is important as well. And I think more important than just being the manager is the relationship with AJ Preller.
Mhm.
That to me is infinitely more important than just being the manager of the team.
Sure.
Is can you work with AJ, and can there not be any articles written from the Athletic or the Union Tribune about
dysfunction?
Dysfunction. Can we just please
And culture.
have like 2 straight years without any of that?
Okay.
But the Aztecs' job, because it involves recruiting,
Mhm.
you are the face of the program. You're in a new stadium that needs to put butts in seats,
Mhm.
and you're coming off of 2 down years for your expectations here at San Diego State. And you were on the cusp of joining a Power 5. I don't know when that will be another
Right.
opportunity. Just
But
because
it's
college football
important.
is just
But
stupid.
if you win, you put yourself in a better position.
The Aztec job to me is more important.
Yeah, and also here's the thing with the Aztecs as opposed to the Padres, what you just said. The Padres have had how many managers in the last 15 years, let's say? Since Bochy, how many have they had?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're on their 7th.
6-ish, 7. Okay, 6 to 7. Like you said, an average of every couple of years.
Mhm.
The Aztecs have only had 2 since 2009.
Yeah.
So the stability has been there. My point is this: your next hire, based on these previous hires, could be a 5 to 10 year head coach. No guarantee. The coach may leave for a better job. He might do such a good job that he's the next head coach at, I don't know, University of Washington, or I have no idea. Or maybe they don't live up to expectation and they're out in a couple of years. But my point is, the hire they make has a chance to be in that position for 5+ years.
Mhm.
Like, there's a really good chance the person they bring in is there for 5+ years. That's a lot of time. It speaks to the importance of it. Padres make this move. They could have a new manager in 2025. They hired a manager to a 2-year deal. If they go 82-80 this year, they can hire a new manager. If the Aztecs go 6-6 next year, they're not hiring a new head coach. He'll be back for the 2nd year. So I just think because he has a chance to be in place for a long period of time, and because of everything you said, the investments they've made in the program, conference realignment, I just feel like it's very important. It really is a very important hire coming up for JD Wicker over the next, whenever it is, week or 2 or 3.
Yeah. And I also think too, when you look at it, yes, the departure of Brady Hoke, I'm sure, it's been not difficult, but it's been different, right? When you have a coach that announces his retirement, it's changing things. It's different,
Mhm.
right? But I also do think there is also, once we get past the final game of the year and everything with Brady, and thank you for your time and putting this program on the right path and getting Rocky Long here as well. Like, it should be exciting if you're JD and you're this
Mhm.
program. Like, this should be and if you're a fan, like, this is going to become an exciting time for this program and its fan base to go out there and have a pretty wide net and throw it out and look for a new head coach. And we know it's not going to be, at least we think, internal. You would think it won't be an internal hire.
Right. It's a good point. Like the Padres, we were like, hey, there's 2 or 3 names. We were told day one, here are the front runners.
And even when Rocky left, it was an internal hire with Brady. Like,
Right.
it wasn't a wide net
open
search.
Mhm.
This is a wide open net, throw it out in the ocean search.
It could be, and to your point, it's a great point. Tony White ties to the program, Nebraska defensive coordinator. But you got offensive coordinators at Oregon and Washington State and Oregon State. You've got head coaches in other group of 5 leagues. You have FCS.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere for this hire for the first time in basically,
Over
I'm
a
talking
decade.
football or men's basketball, the first time they've done that in over a decade.
And I apologize, JD, if you're listening, but when did JD get here again?
Well, he's been here on 2 stints. This
No,
is his second stint. In terms of his second stint, I think about 7 years.
When was he hired as the AD? Is my question.
I think around 7 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, this is his first.
26 October of 2016. Literally 7 years and a month.
Okay, so yeah, this is his first true hire for the football program. Which, I mean, we know that the basketball program, what they are and how important they are to this to San Diego State, but just in college athletics, the all of college athletics, the football program is the most important part. It brings in the most money. It's everything, right?
Yeah.
We know that, even though basketball has been the driving force here at San Diego State.
Right.
So knowing that, this is the biggest hire of any coach that they've made here at San Diego State
since Brady Hoke round 1.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, and we'll get to the wrap on the other side. We have a new top 4 in the college football playoff released within the last 5 minutes.
Let me guess.
You want to guess it?
Number 1, Michigan.
And
Georgia.
Number 2,
Michigan.
And Ohio State. Number
3,
3,
Michigan.
Ding. Number 4,
I'm gonna say Washington.
correct. Number 5,
Florida State.
correct. Number 6,
Oregon.
correct. Number 7,
Alabama.
they're 8. That's good. And Texas is 7.
Okay.
Those are your realistic teams to reach a playoff. Those 8 could still make a playoff.
It sucks for Florida State because the reason why they're not in
It's
the top 4
terrible.
is because their quarterbacks.
And they have they have to play an ACC championship game.
Like if they run the table, it's going to suck because they're not going to. I don't think they're going to get in.
Oh, they'll get in at 13-0. Florida State at 13-0 is it?
Even without
Florida
the
State, they'll be the
Okay.
4 seed. And
What if?
because Ohio State, Michigan has a loser.
Okay.
Oregon, Washington has a loser if they play in the Pac-12 championship game.
What about the SEC title game? Who plays that?
Well, if you have Georgia, Alabama, and Alabama beats Georgia, you could argue both are in. But
Yeah.
at the expense of Florida State,
I think so.
13-0.
It's going to be tough.
All right, the wrap on the other side, plus your chance to win a pair of tickets for Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego State, Fresno State Senior Night coming up this hour. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. Do you know what week it is? Even Jim knows. It's Thanksgiving week, which means Windmill Farms has you covered for all your Thanksgiving needs. You can visit windmillfarmsmarket.com. They've got all kinds of Thanksgiving specials. Diesel all-natural whole turkeys for $4.97 per pound. Okay. Red yams and sweet potatoes for $1.88 per pound. Green beans, Brussels sprouts, or broccoli crowns for $1.99. Or Beeler non-GMO spiral sliced ham for $5.97 per pound. You're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Do it locally at Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer. Also, as we always tell you, you're getting ready for your weekend after Thanksgiving, your game day needs, your tailgating this weekend at Snapdragon Stadium. They've got everything you need. Or maybe you're working this week. Swing over there, go to the deli, use a sandwich card, get your 8th sandwich free. They keep the prices incredibly low. They use the highest ingredients, highest, freshest quality ingredients possible over at Windmill Farms. Farm fresh produce and meats, amazing beer and kombucha, the full deli, centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard, across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. Windmill Farms is family owned. Their owner, Trevor, his family, they've been in the grocery business for over 20 years. Again, if you're looking for Thanksgiving specials, go to windmillfarmsmarket.com or get the deals over at Windmill Farms. We remind you, shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. Hey, Jim.
What?
Talk.
This update's been brought to you by Paramount Plus. We'll start with the Padres. They hired Mike Shildt today to a 2-year deal. Moving over to college football, the college football playoff rankings have been announced. Georgia, number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Michigan, number 3. And Washington comes in at number 4 in the college football playoff rankings. And Aztecs football, final game of the year this Saturday, 7:30 kickoff. Before that, Aztecs basketball takes place as they take on Cal. 4 p.m. is the tip time there. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup when the Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, the NFL on CBS. Streams live on Paramount Plus.
All right, we've got a pair of tickets for Saturday night Snapdragon Stadium Senior Night to give away in 15 minutes. We'll get to the wrap in 1 second. I just want to read this text. 619 Jim says, bro, the Aztecs should not be taking tips from Nebraska. They've been terrible for 3 decades. Next thing you know, the Aztecs will be running the wishbone. All right, Tony White's been there for 1 year.
And their defense has been
17th in the nation in yards allowed,
really
which by
good.
Nebraska standards is like incredible.
Isn't Brock Purdy's brother their quarterback?
Oh, perfect. Make the hire.
Make the hire
Now that we
right
know
now.
that. Now that we know that. Oh,
Am I right?
I have no idea.
Because I know he doesn't play for Wisconsin, and that Brent would be like the end of the world's happening.
Chubba Purdy?
Chubba Purdy.
Chubba Purdy.
That's his brother.
Chubba.
Dude, hire Tony White right now.
And bring Chubba with him.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Everything's
Purdy-
fixed.
Bring the Purdy brother.
Everything's fixed.
Dude, everything is great. 12-win season next year. Boom.
12.
13.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Chance to win tickets for Saturday night at Snapdragon
That's a
Stadium
weird
in
name.
about
Suck
15
like Tua's
minutes.
brother.
Chubba Purdy. I don't know if he's good or not, but he's a Purdy, so
He's a Purdy. All right, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Will Mike Shildt manage the Padres for more than 1 season?
I think he'll last 2 years.
Okay.
At the beginning of the day, when you saw the 2 years,
Yeah.
it was like a little bit of it's interesting. But when you think about it, there's a lot of things happening in this organization. They don't win next year. It's very easy to just say, wipe the slate clean, Preller gone, Shildt gone. Like, it's very easy. It all depends on next year. So the 2-year deal doesn't bother me because if they win next year, you're giving them an extension anyway.
Mhm.
If you're losing, you're probably making a change. So there's no point in giving a guy a 3 or a 4-year deal when you know how important next season is. And then you'll go from there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna bet on Shildt to at least have a good enough season to get him another season. I don't truly know what that means. I think they have to make the postseason. So I'll bet on them doing that. I don't think they're winning 95 games, but I hope they're winning 85 plus games. And if he does that, I do think he'll be back in 2025. So I'd put it, honestly, I don't feel amazing about it. I don't think there's a 90% chance he gets a second year. I do think there's a 55+% chance he gets a second year. So I'll say he does manage multiple years for the Padres. What do you have?
There's a couple things here. 858. Did Jim ride the bench for the Gym Rats because he's so short? Or was it strictly because of his lack of skill? Another 760 number said, I love this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for the wrap-up show to turn into the Shildt show.
I do like that.
That's very good.
Yeah.
760 number.
Could be a Shildt show.
Yeah, it will be a Shildt show.
Next question.
Has your opinion changed on Aaron Rodgers possibly returning this season now that he's jogging? Ooh.
Yes, he is jogging, Aaron Rodgers. Could be just weeks away from practicing.
I said this yesterday. He's an idiot if he thinks that whatever doctor medically clears him to potentially go and practice, just practice, should be fired immediately. I know I'm not a doctor, but come on. 3.5 months after you tear your Achilles, you're back out there on an NFL field practicing. Dude.
Yeah, even less, right?
And you're 39 years old. You're not Adrian Peterson at like 26.
And his team is 4-6. By the time he practices, they could very well be 4-8 or 4-9 or 5-8.
Like, why is he doing this?
Is he going to jog away from defensive tackles?
Yeah, he's just going to jog. I tell you, we know why he's doing it. He has to be in the spotlight.
He does.
He has to be discussed.
He can't help it.
And he's actually been discussed like as regularly as most players in the NFL this year. There's very few players. Kelsey,
I was
of
gonna
course.
say, Kelsey nailed it the other day
Yeah.
when he said your game day's on Tuesday now.
Yeah.
'cause you can't wait to get on McAfee and just
Dude,
flap your
away.
gums
if you go to
for
ESPN.com,
30 minutes.
he's been on the right-hand side as a headline for the better part of the last 3 months.
Because he wants to be
Yeah,
in this.
'cause
He can't.
Yeah.
He can't not be talked about.
I know, it's crazy.
I said he was very smart. At times, you can be likable, but also he's a giant idiot, and his ego just is way too big at times.
He's a giant idiot. Next question.
Would Nebraska defense coordinator Tony White be a good hire for the Aztecs?
We talked about it. I think potentially, yeah, it could be a good hire. I don't know if that just like overly excites the fan base. See what you do with recruiting. Who are you going to hire as your offensive coordinator?
Mhm.
Those things are super, super important. Like whoever gets hired, if it's defensive guy, said you have to make it a point at your press conference that the emphasis of the offensive side of the football is at an all-time high. Like we need to make sure that the offensive side of the football is a priority. So yeah, it'll be fine.
I want to say, I mean, he's young. He's in his 40s.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And here's the thing. I think he's a desirable candidate for Power 4-ish, whatever's left. Power 4 jobs. He was at Syracuse for 3 years. Syracuse has an opening. Like, he's going to get interviewed. So I think he's a desirable candidate. I do think he'd be a good hire. Now, I don't know the other candidates. I don't know if he's the best hire or the best candidate. I do think he would be a good candidate for this position.
I have breaking news for you, John.
I'm listening. Turn the music down for a second if it's truly breaking.
Well, for you, this is considered breaking news because it has to do with San Diego State's head coaching hire.
I'm all ears.
San Diego State has interviewed UNLV offensive coordinator Brendan Marion to be their next head coach. He's 36 years old, former NFL wide receiver, has played a vital role in the Rebels' 9-2 season, according to Bruce Feldman.
Wait, this popped up in your timeline?
1 minute ago.
I don't follow Bruce Feldman. The UNLV story is an incredible one if you're watching. They're 9-2.
Mhm.
They have been irrelevant since Randall Cunningham. That's how long. They've been completely irrelevant. So it's Brennan Marion.
Sorry.
And obviously it's...
Can I read
What's
this? Can I read this to you?
Yeah, please.
From Bruce Feldman. He says, the first thing in his article, Inside the Coaching World, San Diego State is seen as somewhat or something of a sleeping giant.
This is from a few days ago. This
Oh, it
article.
is?
Yeah. Right? Look at the top because I read that line. Was
Okay.
Brennan Marion in that article? Yes, it was. First year UNLV OC.
Okay, so this is just like names that he has put out there, and one of the names he put out there has been interviewed.
Interesting. So, okay, big reason why the Rebels have transformed under Barry Odom. Marion's go-go offense has been the spark leading the Mountain West in scoring despite losing their quarterback last year, or this September. He's got a redshirt freshman quarterback. They've scored 40-plus in 4 consecutive conference games. Says the 36-year-old's next move might be to a Power 5 program as an OC, but he might be able to get an interview for this job, especially if the Rebels keep winning. Interesting.
Okay.
Brennan Marion, 36,
Yeah.
1-year OC, rolling compared to Tony White, more of a veteran coach in his mid-40s, experience at San Diego State. He's a DC. That's opposite. OC, DC, 36-year-old, no ties to the program, 44-year-old, 9 years tied to the program.
I like it. Wide net.
Yeah. Casting a wide net. Yeah,
Wide
that's a
net.
good point.
Okay, cool. Let's get back to the wrap.
All right, but this is interesting. In the last 24 hours, we've heard about Tony White. We've now heard about Brennan Marion. So JD Wicker, this search firm as well, getting very busy.
And poaching off of a team in your conference that is, on the up.
It's a little unconventional. You think UNLV football.
You don't think
but
anything special.
What's working is working. So throw all that out.
Yeah.
If it's the right guy and he's on this unbelievable trajectory and he's got ties to the West, JD Wicker's talked about that.
Yeah. But you're going to, I like it. You're going to see a lot of different names. And I know that you're excited about that.
Yeah, I love seeing names. I'm with you.
All right, let's get back to it.
Is there anything more in the wrap?
Yeah. I know
What
you
was
want
that, 3 questions? What was the question?
John literally is like
I
his
wrote this
singular focus now is on learning more about the coaching hire for San Diego State.
That's all I care about.
I know it is. What was the next question, Brent?
Who would you rather have as your long-term quarterback, Brock Purdy or Caleb Williams?
Oh yeah, this is the question that you wrote down.
Yeah. I think it's a kind of interesting question.
It is. You might be shocked by this, everybody.
You can say Caleb Williams.
I think long term
could be a star. I mean, obviously, could be a star. He's won a Heisman already.
We'll see where he goes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know?
Like, is Chicago going? Will he be a star in Chicago?
I don't want anything to do with him.
Really?
I know you've said that before.
For multiple reasons. Between his LeVar wannabe dad, the fact that there's that story that was circulating around that he wants partial ownership in any team that drafts him. The fact that they've lost 3 straight games, 2 out of the 3 he cried like a baby after each loss, and the third one he refused to talk to the media. I don't want anything to do with him. He's going to be a head case.
So what if he turns into Patrick Mahomes?
I don't think he will.
But what if he does?
Well, then you'd want him.
You know, what if he turns into Jamarcus Russell, which is what I think is closer?
Could he turn into Trent Dilfer?
Who would you rather have, Trent Dilfer, Caleb Purdy, or Caleb Williams?
He'll have that ring if he turns into Trent.
I mean, Purdy's working perfectly for San Francisco. That's fair. The last 2 years, it's worked out very well. And would Caleb Williams be a better option in San Francisco? Maybe, but will Caleb Williams be a better option in Carolina or Chicago? I don't know.
Yeah, it's about where you go and where you get drafted to. And we saw Bryce Young get drafted to Carolina, and he sucks right now. You see CJ Stroud go to Houston. I think CJ Stroud is kind of defying like odds, right? Like he's kind of taking that organization on his back. But I also think DeMeco Ryan is a excellent head coach and just an excellent coach in general. So I'm not surprised really there. I'm a little surprised at how good he has played to a level of like Pro Bowl, potential all pro level with some of the things that he's doing there in Houston. But it matters where you go. Doesn't matter if you're a 5th round pick or a 1st round pick. If you get drafted in the wrong space, in the wrong spot, that's like the end of you. So it's about where you go. And if Caleb Williams goes to the right place, and I don't really know exactly what the right place is, then I think he'll succeed. Like Patrick Mahomes, he got put in a perfect. Why
would you say that? No, I'm kidding. Andy Reid. I think it worked out very well.
Travis Kelce at the time.
Now it's a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. First 2 callers, you're playing Trainwreck Radio. That's trivia for a chance to win 2 tickets for Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium Senior Night, Aztecs, Bulldogs, Old Oil Can. Great giveaway and prize. The number to call is 844-570-1360 if you want 2 free tickets for Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, Aztecs and Bulldogs. The number to call again, 844-570-1360. Call right now, 844-570-1360. More on Mike Shildt to the Padres. I'll be Googling Brennan Marion.
I know you will
at the break, as the Aztecs reportedly have interviewed Brennan Marion, the UNLV OC, for their head coaching vacancy. The number to call if you want those Aztec tickets for Saturday, 844-570-1360. Trivia is next. All right, Trainwreck Radio is next. More on the hiring of Mike Shildt by the Padres. More on the Aztecs head coaching search as well. Stay with us. Brennan Marion. All right, we'll talk more about the Aztecs head coaching search coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. More on Mike Shildt as well. He's been hired by the Padres, 2-year contract. Terms not released, I don't think. Did anyone ask about terms? Because we knew about Melvin, 3 years, 12 mil. How do we find that out?
I don't know. Someone, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that it's eventually going to come out.
I would think.
But
2 years. How much?
2 years.
3 mil.
I want to say 3 million. 2
That's
years.
my guess.
1.5 mil per year.
Yeah. Which is a far cry from the 4 that Bob got.
Yeah. I'll take one. I'll take $1.5 million a year.
But there's only 30 of these jobs.
True. Which Mike Shildt did mention today.
That there's only 30?
He's like, there's 30 of these.
What if he's like, there's only like 54 of these? Like, oh, there's no, there's 30.
Counting.
Okay, so Mike Shildt is the new Padres manager. Much more on that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Right now, let's play.
Three questions, two contestants. Today's two contestants, we have Scott and John. Scott, you called in first. So you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Let's go with Jim.
Was that a Jim?
Yeah, let's go with Jim.
All right, Scott and Jim?
Scott and Jim.
I like it, which means John and John.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
John and John.
John and
Yeah.
John. So Scott, you got me. And John, you got John. So Brent, what is today's question of the day?
All right, guys. Today's question is name any of the 8 St. Louis Cardinals managers they've had since 1980.
Padres have had
And
8
they've
in
had
like
8
a
since
decade.
2020.
Yes. So name any of the 8 Cardinals managers since 1980.
Okay. John, you're up first. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa, is he on the list?
On the list, yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
he's on the
Okay.
list. Scott, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
How about Herzog?
What?
Whitey Herzog.
Whitey Herzog.
Wow.
name out of the blue there.
Yes. Out of the 1980s.
Yes, 1980s. John, you're up next. What's your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Lifeline.
Lifeline.
That's for you, right? Or is it
No,
John?
it's John.
That's John?
Yeah. Way to listen.
Well, this is tough. Who do I want to take off I'll take the easy off the board, which I think is the smart thing to do. What about current Padres manager Mike Shildt?
Will you take that, John?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Mike Shildt on the
All right,
list.
On the list. Easy one. All right, Scott, you're up next. What is your next guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Man, you took mine on the last one.
That was my theory.
You can use your lifeline if you want.
No, let's go with Matheny.
Oh, Mike
Mike
Matheny.
Matheny on the list. There you go. That was going to be my lifeline, I think.
Okay.
John, final guess. You do not have your lifeline anymore. So what do you got?
Oh, man. Drawing a blank.
You got
Drawing
nothing?
a blank.
You have nothing?
And just name someone.
Not nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Too bad.
Okay.
Now we move on.
Scott for a walk-off.
Scott for a walk-off.
Bases loaded.
Yep, you do have your lifeline. I don't really know how much help you're going to be.
Wait, you haven't? Oh, he didn't use it. Okay.
He didn't use it. No, use Matheny. Okay, so what do you got, Scott?
Managers. Let's go with a lifeline.
I'm forgetting the name of their current manager because
I'm not.
You're not?
Nope.
Oh, you suck. Yeah, dude. My lifeline was gonna be Mike Matheny. And I don't know if I don't know who I got. I got a blank. I am literally drawing a blank for you, Scott.
No lifeline from Jim.
Oh, man.
No lifeline for me. I am zero help to you.
So I can go with the current one then.
That's my lifeline. It's a current manager of the Cardinals, whoever that is.
5 seconds.
Isn't it Marmol?
Marmol.
Up to you, Brent.
Marmol?
It's your call.
I'm not kidding you. I thought of that name in my head. I didn't know his first name, Marmol.
Do you want to go with it or not, Brent? The name is Ollie Marmol. No, incorrect.
Thank you.
Okay. Into overtime we go.
Overtime. Question and rules, Brent.
All right, the way overtime is going to work, I'm going to ask you guys a question. And when I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out the answer. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you're going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose by getting the question wrong. Do you guys got it?
Got it.
All right. The Cardinals played in the NL Central Division. Who won the NL Central this year?
Jim.
I heard John.
Ooh,
Yes,
that
John.
was close.
John, you're up. What do you got?
I would say Atlanta.
The Atlanta Braves for the win are not in the NL Central.
Yes,
and how about that,
vindicated.
Scott? Ball don't lie,
Let's
I
go.
guess.
Ball don't lie.
Scott victorious. Nobody said Joe Torre. Okay.
Oh, I didn't go back.
So Joe Torre's definitely on this list. Okay. And Ollie Marmol is the current.
What year do you think Joe Torre was there?
What it was? Early 90s?
I wasn't asking you.
Oh, early 90s?
I just laughed because you're like, I ain't going back that
Yeah,
far. He was there from 90 to 95.
Yeah. Before the Yanks. Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Who else is on the list? Anyone we
Not
missed?
long ago, 25 years ago.
Okay. Marmol's their
Yeah, more
current
than that.
coach. Then Shildt, Matheny, LaRussa, Mike Jorgensen,
Mike Jorgensen.
Joe Torre, and Schoenheist.
Schoenheist. Also on that list.
Yeah, he's on the list. And then Whitey Herzog. And I would have also accepted Ken Bauer because he got fired in 1980.
Kenny Bauer.
I would have accepted him too.
All right.
So
Congratulations to Scott. You've won a pair of tickets for Saturday night. Snapdragon Stadium, Aztecs, Fresno State. Senior night. Celebrate senior night with the Aztecs. The first 10,000 fans get an SDSU beanie. Tickets and info at goaztecs.com. By the way, 5 o'clock hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. Mike Shildt is the new Padres manager. The Aztecs head coaching search well underway. The latest. Up next, hour 3, Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. We'll start in college football. The college football playoff rankings announced today. Georgia, number 1. Ohio State, number 2. Michigan, number 3. And Washington, number 4, rounding out the top 4. Florida State is at number 5, followed by Oregon at number 6. The manager of the Padres is now filled. Mike Shildt has been hired as the Padres manager today. 2-year deal for him. The Aztecs, football and basketball this Saturday. Basketball first up at 4 p.m. as they take on Cal, followed by San Diego State football as they take on Fresno State. 7:30 kickoff there at Snapdragon Stadium for senior night and the fight for the old oil can. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup. The Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 4:30 Eastern. The NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
Getting close to that time. Yep, that time. Quitting time. And there's only one way to handle that drive home. John Schaefer and Jim Russell.
We're extremely excited today to announce Mike Shildt as the next manager of the Padres.
AJ Preller's latest hire takes over for Bob Melvin.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win. And we're going to do it together as an organization, from the front office to the ownership to the clubhouse, through our player development department. It's really making strides in developing the next championship quality players.
What happens now? We talk about it all right here. Now it's time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on this hour? In fact, between now and 5:25, we will give away a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. I loved what Mike Shildt just said there, because you've heard me say it a million times. It's all that matters in professional sports. It's a business of winning. He can say the right things. He can be fiery. He can be animated. He can be none of it. He can be good with the players. He can be bad with the players. It can be the right dynamic, the wrong dynamic. There can be dysfunction or whatever. They got to win. That's the only thing that matters. And it seems sometimes like harsh, and you're coming off in ownership change with the passing of Peter Seidler, and it's been a very trying time, obviously, for Padres fans and for the San Diego Padres. But come March 20th, all we're going to care about, no matter if it was Mike Shildt or Benji Gill or whomever, is can they put together a winning team? It is all that matters. Mike Shildt essentially saying that here today, the North Star being a World Series title, but it starts with just winning, Jim, and we'll see if they made the right hire at manager. Can they win enough for Mike Shildt to stay in this job for more than just a year or two? And we're going to find out.
It was the perceived safest hire of the candidates that we knew of.
Mm-hmm.
The only one we didn't know of was Adrian Gonzalez, which would have been the most.
Imagine that was the announcement today.
Out of left field AJ Preller hiring ever. And I don't think they could have gone that route. They even mentioned it during the press conference. I think AJ did. The importance of already working together and having the familiarity with Mike Shildt, and where they're at as an organization. Like it all mattered for this next hire. You say it again, like Preller can't get this wrong. Like this can't be another failed manager here. Like it has to work. I know he only got a 2-year deal. He'll get extended if they win next year.
Sure.
Like if they go into the postseason next season, you're going to give Mike Shildt an extension because AJ's here until 2026. So
yeah, these deals don't line up.
They don't line up.
This is 1 year short of Preller's deal.
So there's going to be like either you clean house after next season if you don't make the postseason and you don't succeed, or you just give Shildt an extra year on his deal to line up with Preller for 2026. It's that simple. So the 2-year deal just signals to me, you better win. You better win next year. But in the end, I think Mike Shildt is a fine hire. I'm not like jumping up and down. I don't think Padres fans are jumping up and down for Mike Shildt. I think they view it like I view it mostly as it's a safe hire. I don't have anything really bad to say about Mike Shildt at all. There's some concerns of like, why did he get fired in St. Louis? And why hasn't he got another coaching opportunity since then? But other than that, after you lose Bob Melvin, I feel like going the risky route would have been a much harder task than going the safe, easy route with Mike Shildt, which what they did.
All right, so I want to hear from Padres fans. What do you guys think? Do you like this hire? 844-570-1360. Are you content with this hire? Could they have done better? 844-570-1360. Brent, what do you have?
I'm just kind of melancholy on it. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. I'm not happy about it. I'm not mad about it. Just it is what it is. I was just kind of on the fence of as long as it wasn't Flaherty.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like anyone else.
Yeah, anybody but him, I would have been cool with.
Benji.
Benji, anybody else but him. Nevin, anybody. I just didn't want them to hire him.
Yeah, I think I would have for Nevin and Benji. I had like thought processes of talking it out and convincing myself of why that would work with both guys, Benji and Phil. Same thing with Mike Shildt. It's a safe hire. It's organization. It's good. He's got track record, but the Flaherty one would have been really hard to get to.
I wonder what the future of Ryan Flaherty is, if it is in this organization or not after interviewing. Do we have Mike Shildt? Do we have some of the sound from earlier? So Mike Shildt spoke with the media. AJ Preller, of course, was there as well. Talking about winning. That was part of our open. You just heard like, hey, at the end of the day, it's about winning. Here's more from Mike Shildt on winning.
Now, look, I'm more than ready. I'm hungry and ready to get after it and ready to win a lot of baseball games. And we talk about winning the World Series, and clearly that's the North Star, as has been alluded to. We got to start win this, win our division. We haven't competed as well to win that division in the NL West the last couple of years, and I expect that to be the first goal, is to knock down the West and move forward from there.
Knock down the West.
I mean, good luck.
Go after the Dodgers.
So how many games out were they this year from division, roughly?
20?
Pushing 20? The year before pushing, big
30?
numbers. And this is a Dodgers
20?
team with the resources like the Giants right now, where you're expecting them to add, not stay the same, but to add.
Like,
18
last
like,
year.
the Padres' big move this offseason is trading Juan Soto. The Dodgers' big move is
adding
signing
Shohei
Shohei Ohtani and trading for Mike Trout.
Right. So that's like,
I hear he's overrated.
It's almost, if you're Mike Shildt, it's easier to be like, hey, our first goal is to get back to the postseason.
Yeah.
We weren't there last year. You can get there in the 80s. You're not winning a division in the 80s.
No.
Not this division.
Nope.
No chance.
But it's
Best case is high 90s. Best case.
Yeah, it's not the biggest priority.
That's why I was surprised he said it. Like, that's our first goal, is to win this division. Like, oh, that's your first goal? I thought it was to get into the postseason.
I think the first goal should be turning this thing around and becoming a postseason team.
Yes.
A winner, and no dysfunction, and good communication, and your star players perform, and there's no quit in that clubhouse, and there's like an emphasis on being being leaders, and emphasis on all that. Oh no, I'm on television.
Oh, the back of your head.
Oh,
Can we pause that? We just saw the back of
no.
Jim's head on NBC7.
Oh no!
It was literally the back of your head.
Oh, Darnay, what the hell, man, bro?
That is incredible.
Oh man, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Oh crap! I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm done.
I'm tweeting about it.
Well, we need footage of that.
I need footage.
You can go out there and rewind that television.
I'm not doing that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to. How did?
I have no clue.
Where were we?
I don't know.
Being good? I don't know. It's good. You okay?
I'm fine. So,
I'm
okay. So
flustered.
we have Mike Shildt as the new Padres manager. You've been reacting all day. 70470. You can start your message with team.
You want to
You
update
can
on
call us.
our big poll?
844-570-1360. Yeah, you put out a poll at Jon and Jim where 80% of respondents or more have said they like the hire.
It's still at 83%.
83% of 500 votes like the hire.
Yeah. It's a pretty large
That
amount.
speaks to me to the candidate pool, which was among the pool of candidates, he was perceived to be as good as any. Because the candidate pool wasn't Whitey Herzog and Joe Torre and Tony La Russa in their primes. It was Mike Shildt and Benji Gill and Phil Nevin.
Yeah.
That was what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
So this is the best of what you could have done with that pool. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and there's continuity with Shildt being here for the last 2 years. This is not somebody coming from the outside, not really knowing what they're going to get themselves a part of. because that's the thing too, is Shildt has been around the last 2 years. He's seen all the dysfunction. Now you could also argue, well, is it that good to bring in somebody or elevate somebody that's been a part of the dysfunction? I don't know if he has. I'm just saying he's seen it.
Right.
Or is it good to maybe bring someone from the outside, wipe the slate clean, somebody that doesn't have any preconceived notions, and somebody that you start fresh with, other than have somebody that has been here, been inside the organization when there's been dysfunction throughout the organization. Like, what was a better hire? I mean, I don't know, but
preconceived notions is interesting because he's been here 2 years, so you've seen it all. You know what you think about Manny Machado.
Yeah,
because you're in the organization. You know what you think about Fernando Tatis Jr. He spoke very highly of Tatis today, by the way.
Dude, he was like,
various media.
He's like, I want
sessions.
Tatis to do the moonwalk to first base when he hits a home run.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I think the Tatis Shildt relationship, from the way it's been reported, has been a pretty positive one, but it's about so much more than that. It's like, you got to understand your clubhouse dynamic immediately. And these guys need to buy in. Now, I think he got buy-in. He was with the Cardinals, and they had future Hall of Famers on that team. And he had buy-in there, and they won at a high level. He needs immediate buy-in. I don't think that's going to be a huge problem with his coaching pedigree. But, man, it's very particular, the Padres, with the Machado, Bogaerts, Tatis, Soto dynamic. You better get it right. And I don't know what that means. When you lose 2 in a row, how do you get it right? When Machado's 0 for 7 over a 2-game period, how do you get it right? Mm-hmm. How do you press the right buttons with that group? I have no idea. I hope he knows.
I think next season is such a crucial year for Manny Machado. Everything that happened this year, whether it be blown out proportion or not, you're the leader of this team. This ship sank with you at the head of the ship. And, when you say things like culture doesn't matter to you, and you have 26 leaders on your team, and you also follow that up with one of your worst seasons of your career. Mm-hmm. This season's a big year for Manny.
Yeah.
Big year from all aspects. In the clubhouse, on the field. You gotta hit all the right notes here.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be combative when media asks you about the expectations of the team. Calling out the fan base for not jumping on the bandwagon and waiting until they start effing raking is not the best thing to say. Going out there after you got a $350 million contract and you put up your worst year in your career, not the best of looks.
Oh, and by the way, you're coming off tendon surgery.
That too.
That you put off.
That too.
Respectful under this premise of, hey, we can still make the postseason. The funny thing is, there was a stupid path at the end. That was a 1% path.
It was a stupid path,
but it was discussed the final week. Now, are those 2 or 3 weeks going to matter? I don't know. We'll find out in March. Is he going to be available to hit right away and be 100%? I'm not sure. Is it going to take longer to be in the field? I'm not sure. But even Mike Shildt talked about it with Tatis today. He said, hey, let's be honest. He was 17 months without games and 3 surgeries. So he was prefacing or almost asterisking, not a word, Tatis's year.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that with Machado in 2024, even though he's coming off a pretty serious surgery, which is an elbow.
Yeah. So, and that was another question I think back now about what I'd want to, hey, Mike, have you talked to anybody? Right. Have you talked to Manny Machado? Have you talked to Tatis? Have you talked to Bogaerts? Have you talked to Joe?
Yeah.
Have you talked to these guys? More importantly, have you talked to Manny? Because getting the buy-in from Manny is so important on all levels. People follow Manny Machado in this clubhouse. If you don't get the buy-in from Manny, you're lost. You're done.
Yeah, I agree.
It's over. So that is the most important thing, is Manny's got to believe in Shildt. Manny's got to buy in. Manny has to take a better leadership approach this year. And more importantly, Manny has to be good on the field. That's such a crucial year for Manny Machado coming up. I know we haven't talked about him in the last month because we've been focusing on the manager search. But when we get closer to spring training here, and if they trade away Juan Soto, you put even more pressure and more emphasis on Manny Machado having a big season for this team, especially when you lose one of the top 5-10 hitters in all baseball.
Here's what I want to know. Does Mike Shildt's methods, for example, if you go to social media, find it. Mike Shildt talking to the Cardinals in the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of years ago, where he's just
like, F them.
Yeah, he's just like cursing left and right as like his way of motivation. And by the way, it can absolutely work and was effective to some extent.
Man, he's known to be a
in
just
St. Louis.
cursor for motivation.
That's what I'm wondering. Is that what Manny wants or is preferred? Just F it and here's what we're gonna do. Like, is Manny gonna take this is Manny's fourth manager with the Padres?
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to see Mike Shildt as the right guy for him, or is he going to see him as a holdover?
I think at the end of the day, it's not, I think, viewed by players like this big deal initially. But going forward, you start to see it. You saw with Jace Tingler. Everyone in that clubhouse wearing eyewash T-shirts, like they were over Tingler. It was.
Did that have to do with Tingler?
I think it had to do with a lot of things. I think it was a lot of things that we maybe don't even really know.
Sure.
But still, I don't want to see any of that. I want to see a united front. I want to see a emphasis on, the culture of this team matters. The culture in this clubhouse matters. I want to see them go out and not quit. Like those are easy things. I feel like just don't quit. All right. Be a leader. Have an emphasis on culture and know that winning is the number one priority.
It's not. I mean, yes, it sounds easy until Bob Melvin can't get it right.
Well,
because of so if it's easy, it would have been done.
Well, and Jay Parrish said it pretty bluntly, and I thought while you were gone in Vegas, I played it. Jay Parrish was like, "Look, these guys last year played for Peter's money. Okay, this upcoming season they have to play." In the honor of Peter.
Yeah, I hope they didn't play for Peter's money last year. I just think they disappointed. I don't think it was because they got paid. I'll stick by that. I really don't. Now, I would say this point, and I lost my train of thought. It was very, very
It's very good.
It was amazing.
Ooh,
I know this. Bob Melvin's first call after taking the job, Buck Showalter. Why? Manny.
Yeah.
Everything that Shildt is doing right now should be based on making Machado tick properly. Get the captain on board.
Yep.
You can't do it without him. So whatever that means, going to Manny's Coronado estate and doing dinner or talking to Bob Melvin and Buck Showalter and Ryan Flaherty or whomever, you need to make sure that your first order of business is getting Manny Machado in line on board.
Because when there's problems in the clubhouse, we've seen good managers. They just, hey, can you fix this? Like to the leaders of the team, Joe, Manny, I guess Bogarts now. Like, hey, can you guys fix this? Like, it's up. This is your clubhouse. All right. If you want me to come in there and MF guys, I can do it. But I don't really want to do it.
Sure.
So, Manny, take care of this. You're the leader of this team. Act like it. Put an emphasis on it. Take it as like, you're wearing the big C on your chest. Like, you take it with pride. Like, I am the leader of this team. I want people to follow me. So I have to set an example for people. And I think the last year, the example Manny set wasn't a good one.
I always have, to further that point, I always get a little bit of trepidation when I hear the new manager say, hey, we're going to hold people to a level of accountability, like individually and as a team. You say that,
good luck.
And then what happens if it's one of your stars?
What if Manny gives up on a bat? What if Manny just says, "No, I'm not doing
That's
that
the
today."
thing. Like, you can say that. What's the Tyson line? Like, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You can say we're going to hold people accountable until you're 0-2 off Korea.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It St. Louis team first, Cardinal way, winning culture, most titles other than the Yankees.
Johnny
Is it
makes
gonna work here? I don't know.
Johnny makes a really good point on the chat on YouTube.
Okay.
He says, it sucks to even think that you have to make sure Manny's okay with all of it.
That's my point.
Yeah. We should be sitting here not saying that at all, but yet we are.
Right.
And in that in itself is the problem. Like, we should not be talking about, hey, man, you got to make sure Manny's bought in.
And then you got to be like, hey, everyone's got to be accountable other than Manny. Like, we're going to hold everyone personally accountable other than you can't do it that way.
Nope.
It doesn't work.
No.
People see through it. You get articles written. Hey, they're not holding everyone accountable.
Yeah, dysfunction in the clubhouse, problems, leadership void, like all that stuff.
If nothing changes, nothing changes. Hopefully it changes.
Yeah.
All right, caller 7 right now. You've got a free 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. Amazing giveaway. Caller 7, 844-570-1360. Legoland holidays are here, presented by the Hallmark Channel. Celebrate November 18th through January 7th with festive characters, shows, food, quote-unquote snow, and more. Visit Legoland.com/California for details. Caller 7 are yours, 844-570-1360. An update to the Aztecs head coaching search, including a new name at this hour, plus Jim's back page. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, we've been telling you it's Thanksgiving week. If you didn't realize it, it's here. And Windmill Farms has you covered for all your Thanksgiving needs. Visit windmillfarmsmarket.com to see their Thanksgiving specials, including Diestel all-natural whole turkeys, $4.97 per pound. Red yams and sweet potatoes, $1.88 per pound. Green beans, Brussels sprouts, or broccoli crowns, $1.99 per pound. Or Beeler non-GMO spiral sliced ham, $5.97 per pound. Windmill Farms will get you ready for this holiday. If you're looking for your lunch hour still before Thanksgiving, check out their deli. 8th sandwich is free with the sandwich card. Low prices, great ingredients. Windmill Farms is your spot for your game day needs this weekend. Maybe you're tailgating before the Aztecs game. Maybe you're watching college or NFL football. They're going to have everything you need for your game day needs. Organic farm fresh produce and meats. Amazing beer, kombucha, and more. A full deli with the award-winning sandwiches we've been telling you about. Centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. Windmill Farms is family-owned. Their owner, Trevor, his mom, they've been in the grocery business for over 20 years. If you don't live or work near Del Cerro, no problem. You can find Windmill Farms on Instacart, have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. Again, see those Thanksgiving specials right now at windmillfarmsmarket.com. And a reminder to shop local, shop at Windmill Farms.
All right, this update is brought to you by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. College football rankings for the playoff today announced. Latest updates. You have Georgia at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan at number 3, Washington number 4, Florida State number 5, and Oregon comes in to round out the top 6. Padres, they officially hired Mike Shildt today to a 2-year contract. And Aztecs football this weekend and basketball, same day, Saturday night. Basketball first up, 4 p.m. tip-off there, followed by Aztecs football, 7:30 p.m. versus Florida State versus Fresno State.
That would have been big.
That would have been a huge game.
11-0 Florida State without their quarterback is coming to Snapdragon this weekend.
Yeah, we caught them just at the right time.
This is a huge game.
Massive game.
Playoff implications.
Wow. Fresno State, not Florida State. 7:30 kickoff there. The fight for the old oil can. Also, senior night. This Thanksgiving, Paramount Plus is serving up a tasty NFC East matchup, and the Cowboys aim for another big win against the rival Commanders. It all kicks off at 1:30 Pacific. The NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus.
You sound like the big voice Westwood One guy a little bit.
Yeah,
that
he
guy's
sounds just like
voice
Tommy Tide.
is crazy. Tommy Tide. Crazy.
Yeah, we actually had him on once in Madison. One of the guys I did the show with did an impersonation of him all the time because he'd always be we'd be the lead-in for Thursday night, and he'd always do the, if it's Thursday night.
Yes, his
Westwood
voice is
One.
the deepest voice.
Well, we
ever.
didn't tell him,
Westwood
but
One.
he
Yes.
also does NASCAR stuff, and we ran NASCAR, so we made a few calls and got him on the show. But we didn't tell the guy, so we made him do the impersonation of him, and then all of a sudden Tommy Tide came on and goes,
amazing.
"That's not a very good impersonation of me."
That's great. Okay, a couple of things. We have updates on the Aztecs head coaching search for football. But first, interesting comment from James in the chat. By the way, you can always join us on YouTube. Find us, Jon and Jim 760. James says, now that we have a new manager, can we get a better hitting coach? Preller needs to find the Ruben Niebla of hitting coaches.
It's a great point. We talked about this morning on the wrap-up
We
show. One of the questions that you posed was Ryan Flaherty. What do you do with him? Is he coming back? I'm part of this coaching staff.
It's like, did things get weird? Like you didn't get the job.
Yeah.
Is it time to move on then?
But he's also a Preller guy.
I know.
And he was viewed as like the next. I mean,
Why would you stick around if you're a Preller guy and you didn't get hired by Preller? Because the next hire,
Preller make the full hire himself.
The next hire is not going to be made, but you either keep Shildt because it works.
Yep.
He's only 55, so he could manage for 5+ years.
Oh, easily.
So you either keep Shildt because it works, or it doesn't work. Well,
Well
guess
done.
what? Preller's not making the next hire.
Nope.
So if it doesn't work, they're not hiring Ryan Flaherty. I know that.
Ruben Niebla, he's coming back. That's good. But everybody else on that staff, I know Christensen and Williams, those guys are gone. They're up in San Francisco with Bob Melvin. Also, Brian Price, who was part of the Padres front office or whatever the case may be. He left. He's their pitching coach in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So to me, the hitting coordinator, hitting instructor, offensive coordinator, whatever we want to call it, doesn't mean whatever. Should be a pretty big emphasis this offseason. If we just bring back Ryan Flaherty, that's a downgrade to me.
Yeah.
Ryan Flaherty's really done nothing. And if he's only here because he's Manny's buddy, then that doesn't work. That's not work.
It's not work. Okay, so if you want to comment, 70470, start it with team or 844-570-1360. The Padres have a new manager. It's Mike Shildt. The Aztecs are searching for a head coach. Brady Hoke's final game as a head coach is Saturday. See if they can send him off with a win or not. We have two candidates that reportedly the Aztecs have interested. I don't know if they've interviewed. You have Tony White, who spent 9 years here as a cornerbacks coach, who is currently the Nebraska defensive coordinator. Kirk Kenny reporting that the Aztecs have talked with Tony White or will. I don't know. Have they interviewed him?
I don't know.
I'd have to read the article.
You're
again.
Mr. Aztec.
I forget what he said.
Well, we know that there's two names out there that are linked to the Aztecs. How about that?
Correct. Kirk Kenny saying this. San Diego State contacts Nebraska defensive coordinator Tony White. Okay, defense, right? Everyone wants to talk about offense. Do they want to get the right coach, or does it have to be an offensive coach? And now JD said they want to get the right coach. Then you have a name that Bruce Feldman threw out today, that the Aztecs have contacted Brennan Marion. And you say, well, who is Brennan Marion?
Who?
He is, okay, he's interviewed, by the way, for the job. per Bruce Feldman. Brennan Marion is UNLV's first-year offensive coordinator. UNLV 19th in the nation in scoring, 36 points per game, 9-2, enjoying like their best season ever. In the last 40 years, they're a win away from getting to a Mountain West championship game. So we have two names now: 36-year-old and Brennan Marion, first-year offensive coordinator for UNLV, and I think 44-year-old Tony White, who spent 9 years working for Rocky Long and Brady Hoke.
Okay.
And there will be more. I doubt those are the only two candidates.
Yes, this will be a wide net that would be cast. I'm sure we're going to hear more names. And as Bruce Feldman says, the word around college football is this is kind of like a sleeping giant. This is a job that people are going to want to come here. You might not get the top names out there.
Well, no, this isn't the Texas A&M job.
No, it's not, because you don't have the resources like Texas A&M.
Nor do they have the league. They're not in the SEC.
That is also a huge factor. But would you be okay with a guy, like, say they hire somebody that's young, say they hire the UNLV offensive coordinator, all right? Say he does really well.
Okay.
He leaves in 4 years to...
Or even less. I mean, if you do
less
real well, you can leave in less than 3 years.
3 years. You okay with that?
Yes. If they win, I don't care what happens. Okay. If they go, for example, let me take you through this thing. You make the right hire. This 36-year-old. First year, you're 8-4. Off 3-9 or 4-9. Okay?
Very good.
I'm just throwing this out. They go 8-4. The next year, they're 10-2. They play for a conference title. Okay. And the year after that, they're 12-1. And they're in the playoff conversation. If he bolts, he bolts. You did, but he did what you asked him to do.
Especially if you hire a young coach. This ain't Rocky, right? Rocky's like, I don't know, like, you hire a young head coach and they are successful here, they're going to get a lot of opportunities elsewhere in Power Five schools.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah.
This question was posed to Chris Vanini today in The Athletic. If you were a coach and offered identical deals at San Diego State and Boise State, which would you pick and why? He calls it a fascinating question and goes on to say that they are arguably the two best group of 5 jobs, period. He then goes on to say, by the thinnest of hairs, I'll take San Diego State. So, Feldman's saying San Diego State because of recruiting, location, and quality of life, and stadium, and success over the last 15 years, is a better job today than Boise State, which has been like the winningest group of 5 programs over the last 20+ years. So that's what you're looking at here. If you're reading The Athletic, you're reading about how this is potentially a better job than Northwestern. This is potentially a better job than Syracuse. That's what The Athletic is writing about San Diego State. Now, you can argue both sides at that point, and that's fine. But it's being argued, is my point.
We'll see what other names pop up. Another name that Bruce Feldman, the offensive coordinator of Washington,
right?
His name is
big time name. Grubbs?
Yeah, Grubbs. I guess for Will.
Yeah, I'll find that.
The Will Grubbs?
Just say it. Ryan Grubb.
Ryan Grubbs. I'm not even close.
Just Grubb.
Grubb.
So Washington OC Brian Grubb. Mm-hmm. Oregon State OC Brian Lindgren. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a name I really like from reading. Missouri offensive coordinator Kirby Moore is Kellen Moore's brother, and was the former OC at Fresno State. And now Missouri is rolling. They're 9th in the playoff. Wow. And he's the OC at Missouri. Okay. It's Kellen Moore's brother.
Also, whoever you hire, can they recruit?
Yep, that's it.
That is huge. And if you hire a defensive guy, so be it. But that person better put, a lot of their time and effort into making sure that they get the offensive side of football.
Right.
And not thinking to themselves, we're going to win the football games with our defense. Even though it's a valid thing to say, but there needs to be a lot of, hey, we want to have this offense be winning.
If you hire an OC as head coach, they're calling plays, right? This is not the reason you're hiring that OC. Like if Brennan Marion, he's got to be calling plays too, right?
Yeah,
which is great. I mean, he's calling plays enough for the NLP to score 36 points a game. They're 9-2. I think their defense has been good as well. And Barry Odom, their head coach, deserves a lot of credit for it as well. But 36-year-old with this rapid ascent, first year OC, 9-2, and is going to be getting looks potentially from Power 5. Interesting. San Diego State, again, they're trying to leave no stone unturned.
I mean, honestly, maybe a smart thing to go inside the conference with a team that's on the rise, see what they got there.
Mhm.
Like, hey, we see what you're doing out of nowhere. Let me talk to the person that's a big reason why that's happened. Your offensive coordinator.
Right.
I'm not saying that they 100% should go and hire this
Right.
person,
Maybe there's better offensive coordinators.
but to poach from inside of your conference is not like the worst idea ever, especially from a team on the rise. Now, it is a little like, not scary, but you kind of like are sitting back with arms reach length here saying, well, you're pretty young and kind of
It's
came
only
out of
been 1
it's only been 1
year.
year. And
Right.
I would like a guy with maybe a track record because, this is a very important hire for us.
Mhm.
I want someone that people will know and has a track record here. So yeah,
Go-go offense? That's what it's I don't know. Coined. His offense is called the go-go offense.
the go-go offense.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. But is he a good recruiter? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be
being there
interesting.
1 year, it's I don't know.
Can we get him as OC even if they hire Tony White? Can we get a package deal with the go-go offense scoring 40 points a game?
Maybe that's
Can you pay him more than UNLV's paying him?
Maybe that's the thing. Like, hey, we want to bring you here, and you have an opportunity. If Tony White does really well, then you could be the head coach in waiting.
Aztec fans, what do you think? What do you want to see? Do you want to see the young offensive coordinator on the rise or not? 70470. Start your message with team. All right. On the other side, Jim's back page next. Black Friday is almost here, and Aztec fans and fans of San Diego sports, we've got the perfect holiday gift for you. This amazing collectible commemorating the biggest moment in San Diego sports history, arguably Lamont Butler's buzzer beater in the Final Four this past April. You know where you were. I was there in Houston courtside. It was an incredible, incredible moment. You need to check this collectible out for yourself at butleratthebuzzer.com. That's butleratthebuzzer.com. This is your opportunity to relive this historic moment with this limited edition collectible. It benefits Lamont Butler's NIL efforts and the Aztec Link Collective that benefits San Diego State student athletes. Each print signed by Lamont, authenticated and numbered. There are just dozens remaining. Best of all, you're supporting San Diego State student athletes. You need to check it out for yourself. Write this down or check it out right now. butleratthebuzzer.com. See these beautiful collectibles for yourself. Once they are gone, they are gone. This is one opportunity. Once they're gone, they're gone. Support San Diego State student athletes. The best holiday gift you can give for a sports fan in San Diego. Check it out for yourself right now. butleratthebuzzer.com. What a day. Padres have a manager.
Yeah.
Aztecs are searching for a head coach. I feel like we learned a lot today.
We did learn a lot today, John.
Good learning day.
Very good learning
You
day.
asked a question of AJ Preller?
Yeah. Usually around Thanksgiving time, there's a lot of like searching high and low for things to talk about.
Yeah, you're right. No, but today was very busy.
Today was very
I think
busy.
tomorrow will be busy.
Tomorrow will be a nice
Are we doing Thursday, 3 to 6?
Let me answer that for
Yep.
Okay.
We'll see you here.
Okay.
you. Yeah.
See you then.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you here, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friday?
See you
Yeah,
soon.
see you then too.
Saturday?
See you then.
I like it. I like it.
No.
No days off except Thanksgiving and the day after.
Yeah. Besides that, it's fine.
All right, let's get to it.
John, have you ever, after you've gone to a restaurant, you got the bill, have you accidentally ever left like way too much money?
I don't think too much.
Like maybe not writing stuff down, but if you ever did electronically like leave a tip, did you accidentally ever leave like
$100 as opposed to like $10?
like an extra zero? You're like, oh no.
Not that I know of. It's possible. Why would happen?
A woman in hold on, where is she from? Here, hold on. A woman in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. A Georgia woman
Went to a Subway, bought a $7 sandwich at Subway,
and she tipped.
She tipped. Oh, she tipped.
She tipped at Subway.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is very weird.
That alone is weird. That's why
That's what you get for tipping at Subway.
Right.
Maybe I'll leave like $1 if I do
Sure, the
electronically.
tip button comes up, you
Yeah.
put 15% or whatever. Yeah.
She left a $7,000 tip on accident. I don't know how that's possible.
And accident meaning, did you get the money back?
Well, here's the thing. She had to go to her bank, which was Bank of America, and fight with them. Initially,
Right, because obviously
Yeah.
you didn't tip $7,000.
yeah. Initially, they were like, "Sorry,
No, sorry, like
you're giving me that money back. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving a $7,000 tip at
on a
Subway."
$7 sandwich.
But imagine that. Imagine if you're at Subway and all of a sudden you see a tip of like $7,000.
I'd be like, yes, finally.
Like, oh man,
I knew I'd been doing this job well. This is the best tuna sandwich I've ever made.
that's what
I earned
that's-
this $7K.
So that's what you would get at Subway, huh?
Oh yeah,
tuna
I've
sandwich
only
on-
gotten tuna.
Of course.
Don't look at me. I don't go to Subway.
Yeah. So anyway, the server didn't get the $7K.
No, eventually the banks did the
Yeah.
right thing, but initially it was hell.
It should still be at least $70 for that. Like you should get to keep like 70. That's 1%.
Why? It was an accident.
Because the person got excited. They're making $8 an hour, and all of a sudden they got a $7K tip.
Also, what was the person tipping? Like $7 and accidentally tipped 7,000? Like
I
how,
don't know.
how do you make that
That's weird.
mistake?
Yeah.
I would understand if it was like a $1,000 tip and you accidentally put a couple like random zeros there.
Yeah,
Like,
there's-
oh no.
It's one of those things where it's like, come on, common sense, people. It's
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
obviously, I didn't mean to tip you $7,000 on my 650 foot long. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you should know better than that.
Right.
You should know better than that.
And that bank should too, because if I was that lady, I'd pull my bank money out of that
That's a
bank
good
and
point.
move
If
it
they
somewhere
fought it.
else.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would argue this is the biggest hire of today, John, in
Wow.
in just the world.
Over
I
Mike
agree.
Shildt.
Way over Mike Shildt.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Mike Shildt, but this hire is infinitely more important.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Filoni has become the chief creative officer of Lucasfilms.
Dave Filoni is the Mike Shildt of Lucasfilms.
No. Dave Filoni's like the AJ Preller of Lucasfilms.
Lucasfilms.
Yes. He will work more directly with Kathleen Kennedy, which everyone hates, rightfully so, to oversee the next generation of Star Wars shows and movies. Dave Filoni cooked when he made Ahsoka.
Excuse me.
That's
He
like,
was good.
like he did very well
Well,
with it.
where'd he go? And now he's coming back. What happened?
He didn't go anywhere, John. They gave him a promotion.
They promoted the Ahsoka maker
yes.
to
Yeah.
AJ Preller of
Yes.
Lucasfilms.
Yes, that's close enough.
So what's the first move you're making if you're Preller? Trading Ahsoka? Or whatever this guy's name is, Filoni.
If Filoni, I am making sure that one, continuity, two, if the next movie comes out, I am heavily involved in that. And three, I think season 2 of Ahsoka.
Can we do like a Darth Vader show?
They kind of already.
You have to elaborate on that.
Like a whole show on Darth Vader?
No, I would love that.
Thank you. I should be Dave Filoni. This is not hard.
Also, Snoop, you're a fraud, man. You can't do that to everybody. You can't say you're quitting smoking and end up turning it into an ad for a smokeless whatever.
Suckers, man.
Oh, so it was not real. It was just
No,
for
it
this
was
promotion.
a smokeless fire pit that
A smokeless fire pit he was
selling,
promoting because he got paid a bunch of money and he went out and said he was quitting smoking. Guys.
What about the R2D2 show?
Nah.
Or the other one?
T3PO?
Correct.
At least he can talk.
They're on a cameo level.
Or the soft bear.
Oh, gosh. End this show right
All
now.
right, they already have one.
End this show.
If you missed anything, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Find us on YouTube. Search for Jon and Jim 760. Find us on social at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow, day before Thanksgiving for Brent and Jim and the Soft Bear. I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Chewy.